Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Twitch chat. Fnaria, thank you for being first. Anyone else who's out there, hello. Welcome, I'm Abbers. I play video games sometimes. You're in for a special one. You're in for a treat. Doing some sibling winks, because you know what time it is. I'm gonna play you a little clip to introduce our season finale guest. Guys, this is the season finale. This season has been going on for 2 years. So we're gonna take a little break after this, just because, and we're ending on a banger. T Miller, we're ending on a banger. Let me show you a clip to introduce this wonderful young man. Oop, hold on, we need volume on that. That's important. All right, here it is.
That's fine. It's fine. Oh, God. Oh. He's on fire. I won. No. I won. I won. I won. Back off. Oh, that was so lucky. Woo!
Perfect, beautiful, delightful, delicious, lovely. Everyone, please help me welcoming my little brother Starknuckle.
Hey!
Hey,
I don't know why I'm clapping
man.
myself.
I think it's a great choice.
Welcome.
Oh, we're in for a good one because the sibling energy is strong.
Yes.
Welcome. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Happy to be here.
Yay, happy to have you.
Yeah.
Well, shall we just get into it?
Let's jump into it.
When was your very first stream?
Oh, God. As starknuckle?
Well, great question. I'm going to say your very first stream, maybe if there wasn't a pre-Starknuckle era.
There was.
Okay.
Shit, dude. Probably like 2013, 2014, like when Twitch was still like brand new. Yeah, like OBS wasn't a thing. Like I think it was like XSplit was the main thing. It was like you had to get some like janky ass software before like people really kind of locked it in.
Okay.
Yeah, like the unregistered Hypercam 2 type era.
Right.
That was old. Yeah, that was like super old school Twitch where and like several fucking monikers long ago on a laptop playing original Flash Binding of Isaac, which is like always appropriate. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like
so was that before it was like officially released as a game then? Is that what that means? Or
you had Flash, which was like it started off as like a Newgrounds thing.
Okay.
That the creator put as like a Flash game and then also like made it like the demo. So he was like, if you wanted to give me money for like a full version of this, you can.
Okay.
And then that turned into Rebirth, which was like the main one that turned into all of the DLCs and everything, and now currently it's called Repentance. But but yeah, the original one is Flash Isaac. It has super Newgrounds energy as far as like the design and everything.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly. I want to say like 2013, 2014.
Damn. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah, like I don't even know, like it was probably, I think it wasn't like fresh out of Justin TV turning into Twitch, but like it was still super Wild West.
Okay, yeah.
Do
you remember what your monikers were back in the day?
I do. I don't want to necessarily say them.
Okay,
because,
fair.
Because a lot of them are still like private. It's like the personal Instagrams and stuff like that. Like, so I still use that.
Gotcha.
That was why I swapped over to Starknuckle, because it's like a fresh start where it's like, dude, I don't know what dumb shit I said when I was like 10 years old on the anime forum that I don't fucking remember. Like,
right.
Or like, so it's like, let's just cut ties with that. We'll start new, like
clean slate.
Yeah, don't let children on the internet.
Don't let children on the internet.
They'll say some really stupid shit.
Okay, so here's a question. Did you edit and post stuff on YouTube first, or did you stream first, or was it kind of at the same time?
As Starknuckle, I started off doing YouTube first.
Okay.
But yeah, like before the Starknuckle was the first like actual like video editing and like uploads and stuff
Okay.
like
Okay.
that. Older ones would just be like VODs and stuff like that was on, but like it again, it was really not optimized. So,
Okay.
you had to like selectively choose to download that VOD and then go to YouTube and like upload it. It wasn't like a seamless, like the second you hit disconnect, it immediately transfers over. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, it didn't do that. So,
Okay.
uh, yeah, so I started off doing just that, but never really committed to it,
Mm-hmm.
and also just didn't have a good setup. Just doing all that from a laptop, running laptop webcam, laptop microphone,
Yeah.
like just the worst angle where it's just looking at like my chin up and like yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, but yeah, and then once I started as this, like I wasn't necessarily against streaming, but I just didn't really have like I always went into it wanting to make the stuff that like me or my friends would want to watch.
Yeah.
And at that time I was way more committed to the actual like curated cut videos. I didn't really watch streamers, so it felt like hypocritical to
Mm.
get into streaming that way.
Interesting.
Also just for some reason it was a little bit easier for me to do like it's a stream of conscious or consciousness.
Consciousness. I think
Gotcha.
Twitch chat.
One of
Fenaria
them.
would know,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah,
consciousness. Yeah.
one of those. For me, it was always way easier to kind of do that offline, knowing that like I'm genuinely talking to no one
Mm-hmm.
versus me being online and it's like, oh, potentially someone's hearing this. I don't know.
Right.
Streams of conscientiousness. Okay.
Consciousness. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Love it.
They both kind of apply though, right? Like it makes
Yeah.
sense. Like give conscience.
Well,
I
because
don't
I
know.
think
Yeah.
conscience, I think of Jiminy Cricket, obviously, and
Yeah.
let your conscience be your guide,
Send them down the
which is a
stream.
little bit different than consciousness, maybe, because like consciousness implies like being
I
conscient.
just thought it was being
Oh
awake.
God. Okay. Well, yeah. Are you conscious? Conscious? Oh no, I can't.
Great narrow path.
I can't do this today.
This isn't what we're here for.
It's
So,
fine.
yeah.
Okay, so going back to young Starknuckle,
Mhm.
2013, 2014, what was your decision making that led to you trying streaming for the first time?
I always wanted to, like it's such a weird, like kind of a daunting unknown to jump into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where like you had like I was never really like a PewDiePie guy, but like like you had like Achievement Hunter and like Rooster Teeth turned into Funhouse, Markiplier, stuff like that, where like I always liked the idea of doing like some sort of comedy entertainment thing, but it's also like, well, no one's gonna want to fucking go to the video game stand-up comedian. That's a weird niche to
Mm-hmm.
cut out. But like,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually it's like, oh no, wait, there are like different venues that you can go to with this. And yeah, I think just with stuff like that, I was like, yeah, I could have a bit of a knack for this. And then like when that turned into editing, it's like, oh no, with like the AV like aspect of it, it's like, yeah, I do have a knack for this. I could figure some of this shit
Yeah.
out. Yeah, like it's weird how much of the stuff where like you think like the raw material kind of sucks and somehow you just find it in the edit.
Yeah.
And I mean that's like Star Wars. That's what it was. Star Wars was a original run was a mess, and then it was saved during the editing process and
Yeah.
turned into this whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so kind of along the same lines, like what, because you didn't start editing stuff until later on. I don't know
Mhm.
how I want to ask this question, but like, yeah, like, so what led you to decide, like, okay, I want to try editing? Like, how did that kind of happen for you?
I think it was just like what just seeing like I said the other people like Markiplier or whatever, where it's like, oh no, this is like a thing that like I see some of the videos where I'm like, I could do that. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
no one's doing, especially back then, no one was doing like insane, really ambitious edits, like, like Brian David Gilbert, where like you do a lot of really weird like post-production effects and transitions and like
Yeah.
things like that. Like no one did that. It was just taking something, cutting it into a digestible piece, and maybe doing like snap zooms or whatever, like very
Yeah.
minor like effects where it's like, yeah, I could do that. Like, yeah, let's see. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, and going from zero to then editing stuff, like you're all self-taught. Like how did you go about learning how to edit?
I'm still learning.
Sure, of
So
course.
yeah,
Forever.
the
Yeah,
job is
yeah,
never
yeah.
done. No, yeah, I just started looking around at like random software. I think actually what really started is uh me and our brother played Until Dawn. Um
Oh, okay.
and I think you actually remember, like, I think you had clued into this when we were streaming through the PS4, because you can stream through that,
Yeah.
and he and I were playing Until Dawn, and that was kind of a weird moment where I was like,
Okay.
oh shit, this is actually like dope as fuck. Too bad that the camera and the microphone sucks, but it's like I could take this, try and like figure out something to do with it. Had an awful laptop, tried doing like Windows Movie Maker because I was just
Yeah.
trying to cut it, and was like, okay, well, the hardware isn't really here for it. Like it crashed so many times.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and so just looked up like good free video editing software, and like I didn't like I always had kind of weird beef with Adobe just because of their like shitty pricing structure and everything too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, came across DaVinci Resolve, which is what I've been using this whole time. Tried fucking around with like Sony Vegas, and at that point, the muscle memory was already too well established for me to like. Where I'm like, these are my shortcuts, and Sony Vegas doesn't like any of that, so I can't
Yeah.
like. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's weird. I'm out. I'm just gonna do this. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out DaVinci Resolve is like a widely commercially used thing. It is pretty much like that, or like Premiere or Final Cut.
Yeah.
But for like a lot of like major movies, Resolve is what people use too.
I mean, I'm obviously such a novice, but even the free version is so comprehensive in terms of like
Yeah.
what you can do with it. That like the free version is beyond my like knowledge of like
Oh
what
yeah.
all you can do, right? So, yeah. It's cool. It's interesting. Like, well, and so you've talked about it a little bit, but it sounds to me like you find editing a little bit more of a natural process than streaming. Is that right?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just because it's streaming. Like, I can almost like tune out when I'm streaming. Where like, especially like, I think you might have gone through this too when you're like you're done with like a 6-hour stream. Afterwards, you're like, you like snap back and you're like, I don't remember any of the fucking shit that I said. Like it
Yeah.
was just random. Like I was possessed by the stream demon. Came
It's
out just
that
be
thing
like,
where you're like
the fuck did
driving
I talk
home
about?
from work and you like don't remember how you got there and you're like, "Oh, I'm home now."
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So like editing, I think is just like, again, it depends on if I'm like really feeling the video, then that's all I want to do. Other times where it's just like, I don't know what the end product is here. Like we just got to try and cut through it and see what we
Yeah.
got. Yeah, I think they're both like there's like a natural ease to both of them. But I think streaming, at least for me, like you know, power to the people that can just stream, and if they get their like engagement and their viewership, and they want to monetize, and that's all they do, fuck yeah, good for them. But also like I feel like it's almost like complacent doing just streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because you could get some really like gold ass moments, but if that happens in like a 5-hour stream, I mean, yeah, there are people out there that would watch a whole 5-hour VOD, but it's better to like be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna take that and actually like carve out the best stuff and
Mm-hmm.
throw it all in one thing.
Well, and for you, in terms of like a VOD from streaming, or even like you playing something offline and recording, like what
Mhm.
makes something editable to you? Like, how do you know that a VOD is worth taking the time to like carve out?
Honestly, I don't until it's done.
Yeah.
So there like there are times that I will like. anticipate where I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be dope, so I'm going to record and stream at the same time, just so I have like a separate audio track for like better editing and stuff. Because if you download the VOD, it's all voice game audio is all on one, so
Yeah.
like you can't really like if the game audio is like washing your voice out, you're just kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Which sucks. I think maybe if you're like partner or like a super partner, Twitch allows you to have a separate channel, but
I don't even know. Yeah.
I think that's something I don't know. That's not my realm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there have been actually a lot of times where like I'm just having a regular day, like just having a casual stream, but then by the time it's done, I'm like, ooh, I actually have to download the VOD, and unfortunately I didn't record it. But like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like that's one video that I think you were around for, the weird like Toad Bobby Hill thing that I made.
Yeah.
I didn't have the recording now button hit being like, this is what we're gonna do today. This part, like, no, it just happened. And then by the time the end of the stream hit, I was like, well, we gotta pull this VOD and
Yeah.
like make something
Yeah.
out of this.
Well, there's something to me too about like the difference between like editing stuff and just streaming. Like,
Yeah.
I know that you use the word complacent, which I think can be true, but I also think there's something kind of like beautiful about like the ephemeral nature of streaming, where there are certain
Yeah.
things like I know Germa is a big inspiration for you. There's certain stuff that
Yes.
Germa does that's like, no, it's kind of better if it just lives in that live space and was this
Yeah.
magical moment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um,
I do like the, like, it's not lightning in a bottle. It's like, no,
right.
like sometimes you might have missed the fucking, when like you ever got that feeling you're like hanging outside and someone's like, I saw a shooting star, and you're like, oh shit. Like, and it's like, yep, well, all right, I missed that shooting star moment. That's fine.
That
You
was
know,
me
like
with the
that's
Northern Lights the other night, like how many
yeah,
weeks
yeah.
ago. Like the next morning, I was like, "Oh, that was a thing." Like I remember, like kind of looking
Missed
outside
that
and being
fucking
like,
screen.
Meh.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's
Yeah.
gonna happen again though, so we have another chance.
Yeah, the sun is dying. It's cool.
Is
That's
that what
why
that means? Is that
I
why?
think that it was like a weird like solar flare thing that happened.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it was like a very weird, like rare like solar flare that hit. So it was just like, yep, something happened. Like the sun sneezed, and so
Yeah,
now we have like the northern lights out here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's happening again end of June. Apparently, so everyone
Okay.
be on the lookout if that's
Sure.
a thing. But yeah, there is something about that where it's like, oh, I missed it, and this was this really cool thing, and like.
Yeah.
And so with streaming, it's like, yeah, you can watch the VOD after, but it's not the same as watching something that was edited on YouTube specifically with the idea of it kind of living
Yeah.
forever in mind, you know?
Well, and now you have like for people that are that huge, like your Germas or your Northern Lions, where it's like, well, Northern Lion never edits his shit. Northern Lion is kind of that what I was talking about, where it's like he doesn't like curate anything. It's him just being like, here's my stream. It's like 7 hours long, like daily, and I'm just splitting it by which games I'm playing, and I just upload that like 45 minutes of playing Lethal Company or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's it. Which is crazy, but like, but those guys, they don't even necessarily have to worry about getting like saving or like archiving those special moments because they have so many people in their fan bases.
Making
So you
clips
have
and
like,
stuff.
you let the YouTube algorithm go a little bit crazy after watching a couple German videos. There's a bunch of like third parties that I'm just being like, Germa being weird guy for 12 minutes, like, and it's like a bunch of obscure clips that didn't make it into any like official channel
Right.
videos. um
Right.
yeah, like Northern Lion himself has a dude, and he's cool with it. He like is an unofficial team member called the Library of Latorno, because Latorno is his last name. And yeah, it's just a dude that just pulls random clips from his stream that may be like a weird clip that like it's just a moment that happened like transitional, like in between games, so we didn't really catch that on his YouTube channel, anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, their community is so huge that it's like it's almost weird that you have people that will grab everything for you, even if you
Yeah.
don't plan on like having it officially published yourself.
Totally. Well, I think
Yeah.
about that with every time I see dropout clip compilations on YouTube, I wonder about like the like ethical nature of that having been like things that were taken from a pay subscription
That
service, you know?
shit actually makes me mad. Like
Yeah.
I've had I mean it's called freebooting because that's
Mhm.
what it is. And it's like, yeah, like it's not strictly, you know, it's not strictly like free use. They're not transforming anything about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
them carving out a couple seconds. Maybe they do like a a hard cut that's like a zoom, and it's like that doesn't really count though.
Yeah.
But then you look at that and it's like, oh sweet, this fucking one video of like Brendan Lee Mulligan yelling at Sam Reich, where it's like, sweet, so that pulled like 950,000 views,
Mm-hmm.
and this dude is probably monetizing it,
Yeah.
which I mean, like, yes, if Dropout or whoever, even if the YouTube like machine learning thing gets smart enough, like, yeah, they can like unmonetize it, but it's like, yeah, when you're hitting that many numbers off of just like shit that you are not doing yourself, rubs me the wrong way.
Totally. Yeah. And like
Like,
it. Go ahead.
sorry,
Sorry.
go on.
Well, I was gonna say it. I think that like Nintendo and Disney are examples of like giant awful corporations that are like, you can't make anything with our content. So it's like the
Yeah,
opposite end of the spectrum, kind of. But I
yeah,
understand on some level why a company like Dropout would, and they haven't, and I don't think they will, but why they would be a little bit more strict about like
yeah,
copyright. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, I think they would be way more hard asses for people like doing a straight up like full rip of like
Yeah.
an entire Game Changer episode or whatever.
A clip reel is a little
Um,
bit different.
yeah, I think unfortunately they're probably at this point where they're like, you know what, it's kind of publicity. So like, yeah, this one random fucking channel decided to make a short that pulled like 1 million views. That's only getting our name out there,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, we'll let them eat cake, and
Well,
while we get the subscription money.
Brennan
But
jokes about it, how people will come up to him and be like, I love you on TikTok. And he's like, I don't have a TikTok. Like,
yeah,
it's just people making clips of him and putting that
yeah,
on clip
yeah.
TikTok, which is funny.
It's gotten bad enough to the point where I'm like, is this a deal with the devil that I want to make? Where it's like I could just make
Mm,
a side channel, a weird like white labeled channel that doesn't really have me or any personality, and I just do some freeboot and shit, because it's like,
mm,
oh, that's how you get the views. That's how you get that cheap ass dopamine hit of seeing number go up.
yeah.
Is that like, yeah, do you want to have those empty calories? It's like, well, maybe, like, when I'm feeling real down on myself, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's talk about the number go up kind of element of it for like streaming and then also YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
what is your relationship to like the numbers and the algorithm and all that?
Oh, unhealthy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I worry about it often. I
Hmm.
know, like you and I will have our like Twitch dashboard set up differently. You unless it's changed recently, like I know that you don't keep like the current viewer count like visible.
Yeah,
Like I know people won't keep their follower count visible. I keep both up,
yeah.
and there will be times where if I see that I like lost a follower, I'll scroll through and I'm like, which one did it? Like, which one of you fucking left? Like, I'll find
I
you.
will
And
say I
like,
used to do that. Like
yeah,
I
and it's bad. Yeah, it's not
and
good.
I will say too, like I want to be honest here. Yes, I hide that stuff from myself, but I still look at it. Like that doesn't mean I don't
Yeah,
go in and like check it out later. It's
it just
just
doesn't hit you when you're live.
right.
Which,
Like I want it to be a little bit more intentional because it does feel like a slap in the face sometimes, you know.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, just weirdly got possessive over it. Even though it's like, let's be real, like probably half of my follower count is shitty view bots that never got caught yet, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, I know that's stuff that happened with like, what one guy that you and I both got really down with for a minute, Box, like
Mhm.
he got a lot of heat because he was at like 50,000 viewers, and then suddenly he's like, I'm at 13,000. That many people were fucking bots. Like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah, he
yeah,
got follow botted real hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And somehow that's like his fault, which is so stupid of Twitch to do. But
Yeah. I mean, there's a
yeah,
lot that way that like Twitch is just like and I will say that they've gotten better and they continue to get better, but like there's certain stuff like that where it's like, come on, man, like
yeah,
it is not this dude's fault that like all of a sudden one day like 18,000 people followed him like that.
right.
That was not him doing anything. And for the record, there are people that will buy bots to like try to like, get to partner or whatever. So it's not as
Mhm.
though it's not something that happens, but like obviously
I've,
concurrent viewer numbers are much more important than follower
yeah,
numbers in terms of just like
right.
the metric, right?
Well, and for him, I knew like the push for partner was such a huge deal for him. But the weird thing about that is I was like, partner or not, like at that rate with his success and like engagement and everything, that was really just a symbolic thing. Like it's like, yeah, you can have the purple check mark or not. You're still pulling in 300 sub renewals every month. So
I
like,
think that's true for a lot of
yeah,
people. I think that,
it's a trophy, which is dope. But you
yeah,
know, like,
it's a
yeah,
status symbol thing. And when we talk about monetization, it makes getting that like 3.5 versus like 2.5 like
sure, you have
number
to
of,
split. Yeah,
yeah. So it
yeah.
makes your split a little bit higher money wise. I think there's a couple of ad incentive kind of things that change when you get partners. So like certainly there are changes, but I think for the most part it's a status symbol thing.
Yeah, it's a status thing.
There are so many
Well,
partners that definitely aren't making their living off of Twitch. You know what I
no,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, he isn't, you know, like,
no,
yeah,
yeah.
and like even still though, like 300 subscription renewals a month is solid,
Nice
you know,
work if you
like
can get it.
good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, yeah, you, like yeah, won't be able to quit your full time job, but you can start saving,
That's a
which
serious
is
side hustle
yeah,
at that point.
um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and well, and I think the big thing with like the partner check mark means that you have like a direct like Twitch liaison. You have like a rep that you can
True.
actually reach out to, and you know, just it's like having like a manager almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, in terms of numbers, yeah, that's it's. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to be pious or anything. That's the game, right? Like yeah, I treat it as the creative process. That's always good and everything, but it's like at this point, it's like I'm not in it just to make art. Yeah, I want people to see it. I want the numbers to go
Yeah.
up. You know, with each like each level of success that I see, like when a random video that I do upload where I'm just like, oh shit, like YouTube algorithm actually really like this. Like, yeah, of course I want to keep that going. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not just gonna be like, well, all right, I'm done. Like, that's sweet. Thanks for the big views. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Nah, nah,
Yeah.
that's not it.
I think one of the things that to me kind of differentiates the idea of like craft versus art is this idea of like you wanting people to engage with it and wanting people to see it, especially if we're talking about like performing art. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think I don't think there are people that stream on if they're being really truly honest. I don't think there are people that stream that don't want people to see it. With the
right.
exception of being in this weird kind of hardcore WoW community when it first started, there were people that were genuinely streaming just to save their footage, which is like how
Sure.
I
Yeah.
did it. So like there probably are people like that are doing it on that like logistical end, right? But like
Yeah.
for the most part, if you're streaming, you want people to see it. You want people to
Yeah.
engage with it, right? And same
And
thing if you're putting stuff up on YouTube, like again,
and with
unless
stuff
you're
like
doing it.
that,
Go ahead,
like
yeah.
if you don't if you are just like streaming it just for the archival footage, great, then you can just not even have a second screen. You know, like so it's like cool, like there's a chat or whatever going on. You're not seeing it. You don't have to if you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to. So it's like if that's where you're at, like hell yeah. And I mean that also goes back to like weird early Twitch days where it's like you had to kind of stream. You couldn't really just record or like do vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because people love to cheat at video games.
Yeah.
So that's the Billy Mitchell lifestyle, man. Like so you have
Fair.
to have so like so I understand where it's like, no, we need like an actual like VOD, not just you submitting a recording of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, people can definitely doctor shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, and kind of going back to like the olden days of Twitch, like what are some of the biggest changes you've seen on Twitch, like then versus now?
In a positive light, the fact that it's not video games as much anymore. Not like the big stuff is I think like you know people are gonna dog on YouTube or on VTubers, sure, whatever, have fun, I guess. But like the fact that it's like that with weird Twitch interaction, like where yeah, like spend channel points or whatever to like do some to like actually affect the VTuber model. Where like there's one that like I showed you, fuck, what's her name?
Code Miko?
Pumpkin Potion.
Oh,
Well, Code
different one.
Miko, Pumpkin Potion. She's like an old like Betty Boop cartoon
Yeah,
type
yeah.
VTuber, and like yeah, and it's like someone's like, I'm gonna give $1, and then like a cartoon piano is gonna drop on her, and like shit like that. Like, and the fact that it's and it's like yeah, she plays games, but not really. It's a lot more about like the weird formatting around it, cardboard cowboy,
Yeah.
you know, and like Doug Dog stuff like that, where it's it isn't strictly a gaming thing anymore. Like there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like musicians and like I was telling my friend about this yesterday. I think like the coolest thing about it is that it is the modern equivalent to public access TV.
Yeah.
Like you can find weird people like Ababox, where he's just like, I'm playing this weird dice game with my viewers. It's like, yeah, no, you couldn't do that in real life. Like, I
Right.
mean, he did with his friends and everything, but yeah, that was like a public access type TV type thing that you don't have to really play video games to be a Twitch person now.
Totally. Yeah, there is a pirate radio kind of feel to it for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
grassroots.
yeah, absolutely. Um, well, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, this idea of like, doing stand up or some other, for lack of a better word, a more like traditional kind of performing art
Yeah.
as we know it, is a completely different path, right?
Mhm.
And Ababox is a great example. Like doing actual like sketch comedy is a very different path than doing Twitch, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Was stand up something that you ever like seriously considered doing?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've tried, but also that's one where it's I think the silence is deafening with like stand up
Yeah.
doing a open mic night or trying to do a type 5 or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
seeing an empty Twitch chat is one thing, because that's like that's not you necessarily being like dejected. That's maybe you just
Mm-hmm.
not being discovered yet. But if you're doing it live in an audience and you hear nothing, you hear no reaction from it, that's dejection. Like,
Yeah.
that's you, like you are getting that tangible feedback of like, this sucks. And like,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I've tried it, but that was one where I'm just like, yeah, I would love to just cut out that part. And
Mm-hmm.
which is like, that's not how it is with like comedy performances. You gotta bomb after bomb after bomb, and then suddenly you figure it out, or you don't. And
Yeah.
that's also the worst part. Yeah.
Well, and also I would add to that like you could be amazing at stand up and you're still gonna bomb. That's just part of the gig
Yep.
sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think with a thing like Twitch, like you almost go into it with the expectation that you're streaming to no one on some level.
Yeah.
So that's more normal. Whereas I would imagine if you're doing stand up, like having played music, I think is very similar. You go in with the expectation that there will be people. So it's
Yeah.
like it's just a completely different expectation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and for, yeah, like live performance stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, you're gonna play to the crowd that shows up, but it's like knowing that you actually have a crowd. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's a weird, like, honestly, if I were to like go live tomorrow and I suddenly just had like 100 fucking people in my chat, I would not be cool with that. Like I'd be great. Like, I'd be fucking stoked. But also, like, I wouldn't be able to do the banter or the random talk that I'm used to, because I'm would be so thrown off where I'm like, what's going on over here? Like, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make sense to me. Yeah, because I just wouldn't be used to it. Like I don't understand the people that, like, yeah, if they're like just doing like a random stream, and then some monstrosity of a streamer like a Pokimane or whatever raids them. So suddenly you're like, all right, so I went from 16 viewers to 1600.
Ugh.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Like, you have to, like, how do you not panic? Like, you have to keep it cool, but also, like, you know, but yeah, I don't even know. That would
Yeah.
be fucking wild. Yeah,
Because I've
you can't
gotten some big raids, and by big, what I mean is like I think the like biggest raid I ever got was like 200 people, which for me is huge.
yeah,
And when you talk about the difference between like 200 and then like 2,000, that's a huge fucking difference, man.
yeah,
And even then, when my average is like 10 to 15, it's like it's just
right,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a completely different feel.
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I had was like an 80-person raid, where I'm just like, oh shit. Like, and
Mhm.
of course it was always like in the middle of like playing Elden Ring or something, when I'm just in the middle of getting my ass handed to
Sure.
me. I'm just like, hi, I'm good at video games. Like, watch this. And then just immediately get killed. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
what are some like first impressions or takeaways that you hope people get from your stream?
Man, I've never thought about that, frankly.
Fair.
Like, where, like, I would hope that they can get a first impression by actually by trying to like get involved or like interact with the banter, like, because that's something that I always feel like whenever I do get on a weird random banter roll in a good way with like chat people and they're feeling it too, that's where some of the best stuff comes out.
Hmm.
So like, I would hope that the first impression is like, oh, there's like some interactivity to this instead of just watching a guy do a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, but that's also a trade-off too, where it's like some of them won't want to yes and with you as well. So
Mm.
like, yeah, it's kind of weird, but when some those gears actually like don't grind up against each other, when stuff actually is like finally kind of tapping in,
Yeah.
that's where I've gotten some of the best shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorites is the weird Bobby Hill Toad video that I made because it somehow devolved from talking about hot dogs into into I'm saying that I could cut off Bobby Hill's face, put it over Toad, and everyone's just like, prove it. I'm like, okay, like, all right, let's do it.
it's,
So
it's such a good emote too. Uh, yeah, the yes and of it is really fascinating because like you're kind of hoping that people will yes and you. And then
yeah,
also there are moments where you have to decide as the streamer, do I want a yes and chat, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that can be tricky because there are moments where it's like, oh, I definitely do because this is a really funny bit and I want to roll with
mhm.
it. And there's also moments, at least for me, where it's like, this is kind of taking away from the focus that I want us to
It's
have,
it's a
right?
side quest that I want to do in my stream right
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
totally. Yeah. What kind of people tend to find your stream? Or even your
You know,
YouTube for that matter. I kind of want to talk about both, honestly.
the YouTube, I mean, like YouTube's a little bit weird just because I don't get, a ton of like the comments that I get are just like it's not like really chat interaction. It's them just being like, good thumbnail or whatever, or them just being like, that there was one where they're just like, it's a clickbait title, fuck you, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I'm not. Is this a discussion that we're having? I don't really. No, that's fine. So like, yeah, yeah, the people that I get, I mean, I would hope are people that can kind of like gel with either the type of games that I play, where it's like, yeah, if understand that like if I want to go fucking hardcore and do like a Dark Souls Deathless run or whatever, it's like I could, but also I think there's more like fun to be had in making light of games that can be deemed as like these dark boogeymen hard games, and it's just like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna make a weird sewer mutant looking character, and we're just gonna fuck around and like
Yeah.
yeah, people who like, I don't know, it's a weird niche that I'm trying to like get into that way, where like, yeah, it's I'm trying to find people that just kind of share the same type of sense of humor, where it's like the game itself is something that you just kind of roast,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
usually you do that through your gameplay. So
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Well, and it's
like
interesting to me, you're able to pull off something that's kind of special to me. Obviously, I'm like biased as your sibling, but like, I think it's cool that like you're able to play really difficult games because you really are so good at video games and also do the goofiest, silliest shit with them. You know what I mean? Like, there's something
yeah,
about that blend that's really like unique and kind of cool to me.
you picked the right clip for it, where like the boss in Lies of P is
Yeah.
like a notoriously really fucking hard boss. I didn't have any heals left, and I was just like making like crying noises, and I was like, I got this fucking rock that I can just throw at him. Let's just like,
And it worked.
yep, it works. It's key.
Yeah. Going back a little bit, where did the name Starknuckle come from? How did you get that name?
I just it was just a weird like, not like super, just a weird hunch of just being like, this could have some sort of like pseudo search engine optimization type thing, where if like
Okay.
someone sees this name, they're gonna be like, what the fuck, and kind of like stick in their head.
Mm-hmm.
uh and it's also just like, well, I like space stuff. I used to get in fights a lot as a kid. So like, I don't know, I feel like it's very, you know it's 3 syllables, kind of rolls off the tongue, and it's like two very recognizable objects. They're like
Yeah.
blended together. Like when people make like a throwaway account or for Reddit, or whenever you make a new account for it in general, they give you basically like a adjective and then just like an object, and that's their like suggested like username. So it's just like promiscuous pineapple 38, and it's just like just weird shit like that, where it's like, yeah, that's kind of how you, but that's also how you can tell if someone's a bot, is that they have like
Mm.
weird, like just like hopeful coconut. And it's like, huh, weird. That's your
Hopeful
username.
coconut is great
They,
though.
they that's it. It's usually just like some weird like emotion and then a fruit. And
I
like
was gonna say
that's
you made me think of grapefruit right away, like that
yes. Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, I like it. It's weird how two completely like kind of seemingly random, unconnected words like do I don't know eventually just like become your personality or fit your
Yeah.
personality, kind of
Yeah.
like yeah, it's
Yeah.
neat.
And so yeah, like there are a lot of like weird like there's one YouTuber I don't necessarily know his YouTuber is like the name of like a dot wave file, so it's like it's just like fucking something number dot wav, and it's like how the fuck does this guy have like 8 million subscribers with a weird name like that? Figured it
Mm-hmm.
out, but like yeah, I don't know, it's kind of it's like I said, like simple, but something that can kind of get stuck in the mind easily, where it's like your basic ones, like yeah, a northern lion, a Doug, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Kind of along those lines and something we were talking about earlier, like what is the line for you between making kind of strategic decisions with your art in terms of like, okay, search engine optimization, people will remember it, right? Versus like, this is something that I enjoy or like something I believe in and that's why I'm doing it or making it.
yeah. I mean, I try and do a little bit of both. I've definitely considered doing like a, a sells out series where it's like, fine, I'll make a fucking like ping tuber or like a VTuber, but I'm going to make the model and I don't know what to do with this software. So like a little bit of a Monster Factory type thing, just being
Yeah.
like, let's just see if I can make some weird shitty marionette and I don't understand how the rigging works and get the because yeah, just like let's play a fucking Minecraft but do it with a little bit of salt and like resentment towards it. Let's do a fucking Fortnite thing because that's what everyone's into. So I thought about doing that where it's like selling out your integrity a little bit, but still making a bit out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But then alternatively, like what you're talking about with like SEO type shit, I don't know if this is a weird like superstition thing. This is why I've heard from like other big people like Ludwig is that for uploading, YouTube will actually see what you've named the file of the video that you upload, not just the title of the video, but the actual like file name.
Mm.
They take that into consideration for for when they do like impressions or like recommendations for your video to be viewed after another video. So
Interesting.
I will throw in like if a video that I upload has like a specific vibe to some streamer that I try and like emulate, I'll put their name in there. Like I think
Interesting.
my Dark Souls randomized video was like Jerma Dark Souls random and like named that the file, and then I like did apparently it's worked like at least like as well as it could have for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of always annoyed me too, where it's just like just tell us how the algorithm like just tell us what you want.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to keep it a super secret. Maybe if you just tell us like this is what's trending right now, cool. Like give me a weird like content stock market.
Well, and I do
And
think that
like
that's why a lot of people from YouTube have moved on to doing other stuff is because of the way that the algorithm has changed over time.
yeah,
And right now, what it rewards is not creativity or art or trying something
shorts.
new. You know what I mean? Like shorts,
Yeah,
and then also
yeah.
like I think Cody Ko is a great example. Cody Ko watches the button. That is what he does now, right? And before,
Got
like,
him the numbers.
yeah, and that gets him numbers, right? And it's his livelihood, and I don't blame him for it. But also, like, what it's done is it's made people like him like stick to what they know rather than branching out and trying new things.
Yeah,
And I think that's why people have second channels too, where they can
and
like have a
that's
little bit more freedom that way.
and that's just fucking entertainment everywhere. Like
Hmm.
that's why like movies suck now because studios aren't going to take a chance on a 125 million dollar lark on a movie that is going to be original because original things make people feel surprised and that makes them feel scared and so they're not
Hmm.
going to watch it and like
Hmm.
so it's like okay well so we'll just do the Conjuring fucking 6
Right.
because why not like
Let's
because
reboot
fuck you
everything
you'll
from
watch
your
it that's why.
childhood. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally, totally.
yeah, we're gonna do reboots of Power Rangers and
Yeah.
stupid shit like that because when I watched it as a kid, now I have an income, so they
Hmm.
want to tap into
Hmm.
that.
Monetize your nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
profit off of your nostalgia. Yeah.
And that's where like TV is actually to me taking off way more because it's relatively cheaper and way less of a risk. So that's where you have people that will do some weirdly like cerebral or high concept shit. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like Beef in Atlanta, things like that, because it's like, okay, cool, relatively cheap to do. It's not doing a whole movie, having to rent out an entire studio. It can be a single camera and like cheap audio equipment instead of like CGI and shit like that.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. Um, in terms of the monetization part of it, what was your climb to affiliate like? Because you started streaming way before affiliate was even a thing. Like
right.
when did that kind of happen for you? What was your thought process in terms of getting affiliate?
Climb to affiliate didn't really start until like maybe 4 years ago when I moved into this current spot here.
Mm-hmm.
Other spot that I was at, I had a computer that was fine, but I feel like it wasn't really strong enough to do. Maybe not just computer. It was like it was the whole setup. Um, it just wasn't really good enough to do super streaming. Or I think that was also why I really liked editing, is uh, because I just didn't have the equipment for it. So like a lot of my older videos, the reason why they have so many subtitles and stuff, and that was like the main thing, is because my mic sucked.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
so it was like, cool. Well, then we'll just add that flair into it. But
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, about 4 years ago here was when it was like, okay, well, now I have a good computer, I have good internet, and I'm not living in a scary fucking neighborhood anymore.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I can kind of make some noise. And yeah, and so I was like, yeah, fuck it, dude, I'm gonna do that. I was kind of in a weird lull as far as wanting to make videos and upload them. So it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm gonna be playing video games without the intention of like cutting them into footage, then let's just start streaming. And so started doing that. And yeah, it it was a weird slow climb relatively. Like, it's crazy to me that there's some people. I feel like your hit to affiliate happened pretty quickly.
It was pretty
um,
immediate. It was just luck of the draw being into hardcore WoW. Like it was just being into hardcore WoW at the time that I was. It was just total luck, to be
right.
honest with you.
and
Yeah.
and and yeah, it's definitely a lot of like people just striking while the iron's hot, just finding a really good time and place. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's where all the current big guys are. It's because of
Yep.
lockdown and Among Us, and
Yep.
and that was what put them on the map.
Yep.
um so yeah, I think just like for me it was a little bit more of a slow climb because I play more niche games. Like, if I had stuck with Binding of Isaac back in like 2013, 2014, when I had originally streamed it, like, who knows how that would have gone down.
Yeah.
But now it's the landscape is terraformed in a much different way.
Yeah.
um and so I forget how long it took for me to officially hit affiliate. I think maybe like a year.
Okay.
But I was playing weird niche games. I was definitely going against the grain as far as like you know things that could attract new viewership.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working second shift at the time, so I would stream in the morning. I would stream like from pretty much like during our time frame right here, where it was like I
Yeah.
would stream at like 11 mountain time, 1 eastern, and go until like 3 mountain time, and then go to work.
Yeah.
So like my main pull was uh international audiences. It was like people from like the Balkans and
Mm-hmm.
people from Europe in general. And that was weird too, because then there was a little bit of like a language barrier. Like there's one streamer that she's Russian and plays Binding of Isaac, doesn't fucking know English, and would just keep rating me, and I'm just like, hey guys, and they're all like, do you know Russian? I'm like, no, and they're like, cool, and then just see my numbers just drop.
Oh
Like,
no.
they're just like, cool, man, all right, well, we don't understand what the fuck you're saying, so bye. It's like, yeah, no, I don't blame you
Yeah,
for that.
understandable.
Yeah, but then did end up hitting affiliate. and just been kind of cruising there ever since.
Yeah.
My main push now is to get monetization in for YouTube, which I think the entry level for that is 1,000 subscribers and then 5,000 hours of watch time.
I thought it was 500 subscribers for some reason, but I could be wrong.
Oh, you know what? I think you're actually
I
right.
think they lowered
I,
it.
it's and there's so many more tiers for YouTube than there is for Twitch.
Yeah. How close to that are
Because-
you?
huh?
How close to that are you?
I'm at like 330 subs. I don't know where I'm at.
Go follow this man. Go follow his YouTube.
Yeah, I could pull up my watch hours now,
It's
but like,
fine, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That because Twitch is, Shorts is not a requirement. Shorts is just another way to get to it, Jalen.
I think there's
Um,
separate requirements for shorts, maybe.
so it's
But I would
like
have to look into it. Yeah.
it's a certain amount of followers and watch time, or I think it's absurd. It's like if you have like 1 million shorts views, then you can circumvent all that. And like,
Well, and I'll say too, in terms of the algorithm, shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, they're all seemingly the same format, and yet the algorithm across those three is completely different. It's wild.
yeah,
What will catch
yeah,
the attention on YouTube versus on like TikTok or whatever,
yeah.
you know?
Because Twitch is just like Twitch is nothing, starter level, affiliate, partner, and then like within partner there's like, oh, the super partner where they have like a better rev split, but you're still partner,
Right.
but like YouTube, like, yeah, with what Jalen was talking about, like, um yeah, you have your 500 subs or 5,000 hours, or you can get like you can work that through shorts instead, and then I think it's like 5,000 is when you can actually like maybe get ad revenue. Maybe it just changes the like rev split. I'm not sure.
I would have to look
But
at
then
it. Yeah.
when you hit 100K, that's when you have the like actual like verified check mark. And and I think you still have to like apply for it like with Twitch. So there could be people that are like, I would like to apply for this, please. And they're like, no. It's like, why? And they'll just figure it out. I don't know. Um, but yeah, because yeah, and there's different like levels where I think like I think maybe the 500 subs and or the 500 subs, 1,000 watch hours, whatever the fuck I said. That one I think is like for like super chats, so it's like I think the like equivalent to affiliate for Twitch. I don't know.
I don't
Like
know
I
either,
like
to be honest
they
with
have
you.
it's a lot, yeah. Yeah, but I feel like streaming on YouTube specifically is still like such a it's it's not worth trying to do now. Like for someone like your size or my size, I don't think that is a good way to try. But
I think it depends on the person. Because I think that like if you're more well known on YouTube, you're probably gonna have a better time streaming on
yeah,
YouTube, right? But I feel like especially for me, like starting on Twitch, I can't imagine getting people to cross over. I feel like it would be like a whole new
yeah,
viewer base, probably.
and
You
and
know?
it's cool that they allow simulcasting now
Yeah.
pretty much everyone, which is dope. But yeah, I think just YouTube. I mean, Twitch is clearly guilty of this too, but YouTube is like for streaming specifically, like unless you're like you're an algorithm guy like
Yeah.
Northern or like Ludwig or whoever, who's like your main money maker. um they're not going to suggest you to new viewers. Someone would have to
Right.
kind of go off the beaten path to seek you out and then
Yep.
find like, oh, now you're streaming live, like, yeah. Yeah, the simulcast is nice. It's cool that they finally kind of decide to relent on that, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I agree though. I think YouTube discoverability is much more viable for edited content than it is for streaming content.
yes,
Discoverability on Twitch is a total mystery to me, to be completely honest with you.
it's another one. Yeah, you gotta if you're trying to find someone, it's like you gotta seek them out or already
Yeah.
be following them,
Yeah.
like,
And I think so much of it is really right place, right time in terms of like right game, getting rated
mhm.
by somebody, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and it's a weird bell curve too, because you have like what's the most popular game being streamed on Twitch right now? It's probably like GT5 or something. Still somehow.
Maybe. Yeah, I
Um,
don't even know.
which if that is the case, hold on, I'm just
You
doing
want to
some quick
look? Yeah.
research. Um, with stuff like that, it's like great. So there's like 500,000 viewers in that category right now. So like yeah, you want to like try and throw your hand in there. You're trying to get involved with that. That's only going to be kind of bad news for you because you're in such a like overly saturated zone that like yeah, you're gonna just get lost in the crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you also don't want to do a game with no viewers or like a very very small viewer count, because chances are the viewers are currently in this weird niche game is there because the one streamer that they follow is playing it right now.
Right.
So you got to find that weird sweet spot where like it will where it's like cool, I will show up, like you don't have to scroll, there's like maybe like 20 people that are streaming this right now, but and then that's how you kind of like share the audiences. But yeah, the huge like mega games where it's like no one there are people that will choose like I'm gonna scroll all the way down and find like the like 0 viewer channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's more just like them killing time for fun. That's not them trying to find new streamers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that it leads back to this idea of like how much do I want to be strategic with what I do versus how much do I want to just do what I want to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah, and that's why I like doing the YouTube side of it too, because like yeah, like I can play really weird ass games, like I did that Death Trap Dungeon thing that was just like that awful, like had Tomb Raider tank controls. I wasn't gonna stream that on Twitch. That wasn't gonna fucking pull anyone in.
Mm.
But uploading it on YouTube was like, oh no, this got like a weird amount of response from people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they both have their strengths for sure.
Yeah. As far as you as like a content creator, when you first started and like when you first
Just dumb.
started versus
Out of nowhere.
um what has changed with your like maybe mentality or your goals since you very first started versus now?
I mean, I think for me the goal, the end game is always going to be like to not have to fucking work,
Yeah.
to be an e-clown and somehow like be one of the few lucky people that are living in the new renaissance where you have people just being like, I like the shit that you do, here's money, keep doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, that was how we got all the great like art and music and even like science and shit during the original renaissance, was
Mm-hmm.
because of patrons.
Well, and even if you
So
look back at like jazz, if you look back at like the
yeah,
Charlie Parkers and Coltrane's of the world, like they had benefactors, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I think
yeah.
that's very true. What would it take realistically to be able to make content creation your like full-time gig?
It honestly, I think it depends what the niche is. You can follow various subreddits for like partnered YouTube, and even like I think just like new tubers and things like that, where there are people that are fresh into um fresh into getting monetization, and they're pulling in like an amount, like not enough to quit, but enough where it's like, oh, that's like an extra like half paycheck every month.
Mm-hmm.
uh and but then there are other people that are like, I have like 90,000 subscribers and I'm making like $200 a month, what's going on? So I think it just depends on your demo, which is
Yeah,
tough. But yeah, I mean like what it would take is I would argue whatever I'm making now with my full-time job
sure.
plus three-quarters of that, just to like have safe money. You never know when you're going to have a down month or whatever, as
Yeah.
far as like, yeah. And then have to figure out uh like just other like streams of income. You can't just rely on streaming or just on YouTube. You gotta do sponsorships and Patreon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there is like a lot of boxes that need to get checked off before I could straight up be like, I quit, see ya, I'm just gonna do this forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting world because it's more possible than ever and at the same time kind of seemingly impossible just from a pure statistics kind of standpoint.
Yeah,
Um
it would seem like more insurmountable.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Like
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
it's like, yeah, my unhealthy ass could climb Mount Everest if I try hard enough, but
yeah.
like
Yeah.
but as I currently stand, no. You
Right.
know, so
Well,
yeah,
and something you said about that too, like in terms of needing like extra than what you make now, it's like keeping in mind things like we're in this capitalist hellscape of like health insurance and like retirement and all
yeah,
of that stuff that like
yeah,
would all of a sudden not be like covered by Twitch, and the way that it gets
yeah,
taxed too is different, right? So yeah, it's a little bit more goes into it.
yep,
Um,
yeah.
along the
I would.
same lines, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I would need like super cushion. Like, that's why it's like I can't just make what I'm making now. It needs to be like, yeah, like twice the amount. You
Yeah.
know, like, yeah.
So the original question was like, what would have to happen? What would you want it to look like if you were to be able to do it full time? Like, what would be your ideal situation that way?
Oh God, I mean, like, yeah, I think just kind of continuing to kind of do what I'm still doing, but maybe without having to worry about work and everything, more frequent uploads. Like, I
Okay, yeah,
try to sit at a video a month, but that's what I try for. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, but it's like, oh, okay, cool. So maybe more like every 3 weeks instead of every six is like what I'm sitting at.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like I would have to kind of, if I'm making that money and if I have that type of like viewership and like community, then I have to pay them back. Like I wouldn't want to be one of those fucking people that's like, thanks for the insane amount of subs. I'll see you guys in like fucking 6 weeks for a stream. Like,
right,
because there are people that do that, like there are those big streamers that like will just dip out for a while and
mm-hmm,
then come back and make their money, and then they're like, sweet, I'll see you again in like 2 months. And
yeah.
like it's crazy to me that works for them. But
It reminds me of actors in Hollywood where all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're doing a Capital One commercial. Where have you been? You need a paycheck. Got it. Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. Oh, dude, like I mean, that's why Kevin Bacon came back. Bernie Madoff was what fucked him over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds about right.
So,
Well,
yep.
that's my favorite recent example of that is oh god, now I can't remember his name. Fucking Notting Hill. He's the president in Love Actually.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant, thank you.
Hugh Grant.
The Hugh
The
Grant
Oompa
of it all.
Loompa.
Yeah, his Oompa Loompa. Like during that press tour, I love how honest he was. Of like, listen, I have 5 kids.
Yeah, he
I'm
didn't give
broke
a
as
shit.
fuck. Like I.
Yeah. Well, even like that was also him in Dungeons and Dragons, where it's
Same
just
thing.
like, yeah, it's like he probably had fun during it, but it's also like, Hugh, what do you like to do, and what edition of Dungeons and Dragons is your favorite? He's gonna be like, fuck you, dude. Like I don't care about that. Like I will say whatever edition you want if it gets me money.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
In terms of your kind of niche and the things that like you're interested in making and the games that you like playing, like what are kind of aspects of your identity and background and who you are that come into play with your content creation?
I mean, I don't really like play a character or anything whenever I am streaming. I try to like bring in some level of authenticity to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's without like sounding like one of those like douchey people where it's like everything I create has a little bit of me inside it, but it's like, yeah, no, like that's true though, like
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that's what I try to like bring out to it. Like the I'll ironically make fun of it where it's like the whole like, what up, it's me, yeah boy, like, but like that shit's fake as fuck. Like no one wants that. Like
Yeah.
smashing that like button and shit like that. It's stupid.
What is it about you that makes you you though in this space, I guess?
I honestly from like you and like from other friends and stuff like that, like the feedback that I get is when they are like tapping into my stream or watching a video, it feels like they're like kind of brings them back to like summer break or something when it's just like, yeah, we're just like chilling on the parents' couch, just like just playing video games, being stupid growing up. And
Yeah,
that's like, yeah, so like a little bit of weird like manufactured nostalgia, I guess. Like I don't
maybe.
know. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I think that's a lot of my favorite streams is like we're just chilling on your couch, watching you play a game or like hanging out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like growing up with you, like that was so much of our hangout time was me watching you play
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
video games. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, yeah, like there was a weird tradition that we had, like that like you, me, and our brother, that it was 4th of July is like, yeah, no, we're not doing fucking fireworks or anything like that. We're going to go to IHOP and then we're going to go home and play Resident Evil 4.
Zombie
It's
games.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep, and that's the move. And yeah, that shit was so good
Well,
because
you
yeah,
mentioned a stream earlier that you and our brother did. But I thought you were going to talk about Heavy Rain. I didn't think you were going to talk about. I forgot the game that you mentioned.
Heavy Rain was like the weird sequel to like
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Until Dawn was the stream that we did where I was like, oh shit, like I actually want to like make this into a thing instead of just, you know, goofing around playing games. It's very
Right.
similar in that aspect.
Right.
But then Heavy Rain was intentionally like, no, we're gonna hang out, we're going to record, and like, no,
Got
this is
it.
intentionally for a video.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, and now we're getting into weird sibling memory stuff. Did you ever actually stream Shenmue, or was that just one that we played growing up?
I never streamed Shenmue.
Oh
I have
man,
Shenmue
you really
3
should.
for some reason. I don't know why. I think like Epic just was just like, Merry Christmas, here's Shenmue 3. So but I mean like I could probably speed run Shenmue 1.
I feel like
Like
that would be a real fun stream. If only for me, I feel like I would really
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
it. Yeah, speaking of manufactured nostalgia or whatever. But
You
yeah.
play that if you play that game right, you can skip like half of the entire fucking game
Yeah.
because you got you wake up in the morning, you got your allowance, you try and figure out who killed your father. Like that's your whole thing. You wake up and
Yeah,
you
but then you won't get all the gachapons. Maybe I'll
so
have
but yeah
another.
so the way that the game is usually played is that someone's just gonna be like, I'm gonna spend $1,000 playing darts all day, and like and then suddenly he's like, oh, I have to go to Hong Kong, I can't afford a plane ticket, so I'm gonna go work at the harbor and do like forklift races like dumb shit like that. But if you like so like yeah, like I remember doing like a playthrough forever ago where it's like, I'm allowed one gachapon, one game of darts per day, that's it. And then and outside of that, I gotta figure out who killed my dad. And
Right.
like, so and so by the time he was in the game where he's like, I need to go to Hong Kong, it's like, oh yeah, I have the money, we're just gonna go. And the game's like, cool, that's the game. Like,
Yeah.
see what you can do too. You missed half of it. Like it's wild.
It's interesting. Well, and the way that you think about games is different than I think about games, and I like the way that you think about games sometimes because you're able to kind of get into this space of how do I break it or how do I circumvent the like linear nature of the storyline or whatever. And I feel like that's what's lent itself to you like doing weird builds in like Elden Ring or whatever, or like doing like speed runs in Mario, right? Like,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about that? Like, just like the way that you view video games and the way you play them?
It's just fun seeing like that there is like a clear established rule of like, this is what we want you to do. And like and you can see like, especially with, you know, like the older GTAs, especially like GTA 4 and further back, like 5 and like the new Red Deads and stuff, they have curated it where it made it intentional where like, no, you can't really do any exploits. But like old GTAs, if you like fucked up a mission, then you would have to redo it. And so you would know like, oh, the mission starts in this alley, the cutscene, something goes bad in it, dude gets in a car, drives out this end of the alley. So it's like, what if I just like take a dump truck and just leave it right at the end of the alley, right at the exit? So the dude will try and leave, and it's just like, nope, there's a car there. So it was just me, just basically, yeah, just like, what if I do this? Will you let me get away with this? Yeah, and that's why I like playing a lot of the more like indie or like bad or obscure games, because those rules are way less rigid. There's more just like broken ass shit that you can do. So because frankly, because it's not coded that well, is like the big one. Yeah, no, I mean that it's really just like, especially with games like that where it's like I've played it so many times, so it's like, okay, cool, let's see if I can kind of like almost like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, where it's like, okay, so I've lived this path a few different like as many times as I can. What if I do like weird different shit and just see what type of reaction we get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. I mean, that's part of why I love watching speedrunners and stuff, because it's like you're not looking at it in terms of following the rule or doing the like meta, this is how you're supposed to beat the game. It's like, no, I have to like think outside the box in order to like almost exploit the game sometimes in a way, or like exploit the mechanics of it.
I'm always going to be way more into the speed runs that are about like weird glitchy shit that they have to do and like exploits instead of
Mm-hmm.
like don't get it twisted. Speed running and across the board is impressive as fuck.
Of
But
course, yeah.
but the ones where it's like Final Fantasy or whatever, where it's not really you glitching anything, it's having to just like be mega optimized. Where it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
nope, we just like know exactly what path to take and everything. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, just like everything you need to do, but like, yeah, where's the backwards long jumps?
Yeah.
Like that's what I want.
Totally. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I've played in a couple of WoW like speedrun tournaments, and I remember this one tournament specifically. This kid who's like one of the like best like WoW speedrunners ever. He kind of figured out that there are certain places on the map that if you log out on that spot in the map, it'll teleport you to the next like
Yeah.
major city or whatever, right? Or the next
Yeah.
like graveyard. And so he was using that during that tournament, and people were furious about it. And it's like, no one said that you
Well,
can't do
it's we
that.
said
You
as
know
a
what I
rule.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I thought
Yeah.
it was really cool, but I remember other people being like, "Oh, it goes against the spirit of it." And it's like unless you say glitchless speedrun, go for it. In my opinion, like I think it's
Yeah.
cool, you
Well,
know?
that's the thing with the main like website for it, speedrun.com is like
Yeah.
that's where you have different categories where it's
Right.
like, okay, it's an any percent, but we're not going to do this one exploit, you
Right.
know? Like that was the thing when I was doing only up, like
Mm-hmm.
there was a few where it's like that there was a bunch of different categories where it's like, okay, well, like can you do it? Like you can do an any percent, uh, but are you going to use this one exploit? Then you're in this other category.
Right.
Yeah, and so yeah, and I remember like even in my times with World of Warcraft, like when when it had first launched, servers were really fucky. So they're like, hey everyone, like 10 minutes, we're gonna be kicking everybody out of the server to do server repair. Um, and somehow it didn't get to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I was in the World of Warcraft, like I was in one of the one of the night elf zones, but but it was this weird liminal ass space where either like whole cities were empty or whenever there were enemies they would just be sitting there and I could just wander through because somehow I just like didn't get cold when they were shutting down the server. So I was just like wandering around an empty World of Warcraft server. Uh and then somehow it caught me and they're like, "Oh, nope, you're not supposed to be here. Get out." And then like the next day logged in and I'm like popped in the middle of the forest and immediately just get killed by all the animals that are out there because I was a level 3 in a fucking like level 50 zone.
Right.
Uh and yeah, that was always the shit. Like that was something I did too when I was like, I don't really want to do the combat. I want to go to the Badlands. It's like you're level 20, and I'm like, I'm gonna go. Like I'm just
Well,
gonna do it. Like,
my favorite thing that you did looking back was with your mage, you were like, fireballs, sheep. That's all I want. And like you
yeah,
didn't like train any of your other spells, which like
yeah.
at the time
People
I
were
was
mad
like,
that I didn't do Arcane or Frost. So
but
like,
now
yeah,
looking at it the way that I play WoW, I'm like, oh, that's a cool challenge run that people would probably do and probably think is hilarious if it's like I can get to the end of the game with only
yeah.
fireballs and sheep. You know what I mean?
I would actually have a way better life doing like hardcore and stuff now with
Yeah.
World of Warcraft because like yeah, I mean you still do like instances and shit. You don't have to, but like
Mm-hmm.
but that was my thing is I was like I don't really want to team up with anyone because I don't know what they mean when they want me to do this certain meta thing. Uh
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I'm just gonna walk around and just hit them with fireballs and turn them into sheep.
There you go.
Just
Done and
see what
done.
that does. I'm like,
I love that.
people hated it.
You've mentioned a few different people, but who are some of your streaming inspirations, and then who are some of your editing inspirations?
Mm. Yeah, as far as like streaming inspirations, yeah, dude, like Germa is a huge one. For a while, not so much anymore. Like I fell off and it's through no fault of his own. I don't know what happened, but like Kraken was one that I really liked. Grapefruit is one that like as far as just like reacting to the game, that's a lot of the people that I try to like emulate and like rip off.
Yeah.
I've been called the grapefruit at home by some people.
Mm-hmm.
I take it as a compliment. Like that's
Totally.
cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to the point where someone else in like a comment was just like, hey, it's dollar store game grumps, and I'm like, no, I'm dollar store grapefruit, thank you. Like that's please be respectful. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, those are my big streaming guys, for sure. There are other ones that like I would like to aspire to, but like they're on such another level. There's no fucking way. Like Doug, and because his stuff is so coding centric,
Yeah.
but really just in terms of like how he's not even necessarily the main character of his stream. It's his chat, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's just him like having to deal with chat fucking with him, um but in still not in a weird toxic way, but they just love to fuck with him without being like cruel or shitty internet people, which is
Right.
wild. I don't know how anyone can like carve that type of community out for themselves that way.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy, because I know like there are other people where like some of the bigger ones are is just like, yep, their chat is just going to donate $3 to tell them that they're fucking ugly, and that's how
Right.
they make their money. And like that's
Right.
what they do.
Super toxic chats. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like it's like I don't care what type of like iron resolve have you have that happen to you enough, it's gonna fuck you up. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. So, but yeah, as far as streaming, like those are my big ones for
Well, and
sure.
what is it about those streams that you particularly enjoy or are inspired by?
It's so yeah, like with Doug is like it's really more his chat that I'm just like, oh, that's what I fucking want
The
for
like
sure.
hilarious hive
Um,
mind. Yeah.
yeah, weird hive mind where they're just like I love that like his chat will just go on strike, which is really
That is
them just
really
typing in
funny.
dot 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 in chat. And it's like they're still chatting, like so you're just seeing like 12,000 people just and it's like
Mm-hmm.
nothing, and he's just like in the middle of playing Mario Maker, and he's like, well, my chat's on fucking strike again. I don't even know what I did. And then like one of them will just be like, we want rights. And he's like, I don't know what that means. Like it's so good. Um, but like Jerma, I think just the way that he plays games, he doesn't necessarily break them, but like just like the absurdity that he can find in video games and like the way that he reacts to that, that's something that I always try and get into as well. Yeah, grapefruit has a very similar thing too. I think also grapefruit will like make weird outside references, like references to weird things that should not relate to the game, and they somehow do apply.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I do a lot of as well. Or we'll like just get derailed. We're just like, okay, I know I'm playing this game, but we're actually just gonna pause real quick and we're gonna learn about telling the bees or whatever.
Yeah.
As far as editing skills, I mean, one again that I aspire to but could never live up to is fucking BDG. Brian David Gilbert's
God,
editing
so good.
is on a different level. I
Yeah.
don't fucking understand, like, because that was how he got it. And from what I can tell, I don't think he went to school for it. I think it was a weird, like, I think he was like a music. I think he was a theater kid.
Yeah. That
Um,
big theater kid energy for
he was a
sure.
theater kid energy, and then just randomly this fucking juggernaut comes out of nowhere where he's just like, here's my Old Bay commercial that I pitched to them, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, you got turned down for sure, but also, damn, like good talent, dude. Like he just, yeah, somehow it just worked for him. Yeah, I try and definitely do a little bit of that and a little bit of like Donkey. Video game Donkey is his editing style is one where, yeah, you also make just like the absurdity or just how stupid sometimes the video game can be. Like that's kind of the pilot of the video,
Yeah.
and then the person themselves are just kind of on the back burner.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's interesting that it's like there's a through line there where a lot of the people that you mentioned aren't necessarily the main character. The editing
Yeah,
is the main character, the chat's the main character, the game is the main character, right?
yeah,
So there's something really interesting about that. I think especially in the Twitch space because I think the overwhelming majority of people are like, no, I'm the main character, right?
yeah.
So that's fascinating to kind of take a different approach to it that way.
I'm always gonna be into the games where it's like I'm not playing the game, it's playing me. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's like fuck what you want. We're doing things to you.
Well, and
It's like,
same idea
okay,
with chat, right? Like this idea
yeah.
of like chat playing you. Where is that line for you in terms of your interaction with your chat? Like, what is your relationship to your chat like?
It's cool. It seems like they yeah, like I don't really get like backseating much. If I do, I will publicly shame them so hard. Or like, well, it really depends. Like, I'm chill. I'm not immediately just like everyone fuck this guy, but like, um, but there's or I remember one big one was like Cuphead where I
Mm-hmm.
was fighting the Squid Lady boss. And I've never been good at like the airplane levels, but there was one where like I'm just using the like special attack without letting it like charge up all the way because it just felt better for me to do that, and everyone was just like, why aren't you letting it charge up, do like the ultra super attack? And I'm just like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it this way. And then finally like just and then I beat it, and I'm like, you were saying like I did it.
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, as far as like the role that my chat has, I mean, yeah, so like I said, sometimes when the banter just works, it's because of them. It's them like w- bringing up some random thing, I'm sure with no expectation to kind of derail what's going on stream,
Sure.
but then it snowballs. Again, the weird Bobby Hill thing, like it wasn't like chat was gonna be like, this is what we're doing now. It was just like, nope, you did a weird butterfly effect, we were talking about hot dogs, and now it turned into
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how it goes.
It's interesting because I think that like for me sometimes I get a little bit nervous of like letting go of the reins, but
Yeah,
also like those can be the most like magical, hilarious moments,
yeah.
you know? So I think for me it's like knowing who in chat I kind of trust and vibe with
Hmm.
to let go and be like, okay.
Yeah.
And also it's like all about like my frame of mind in that moment too. And I think you and I are a little bit different that way where I'm a little bit more of a control freak when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I think you're a little bit better at like just going with the spontaneity of things.
Yeah. I also I do respect like the tenure of certain chat members and shit.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, if some come in and try and do the like, oh, chat's the main character, but like I'm one of them, I'm like, all right, dude, you've been following me for like 6 years, but also I can do a chat audit. You've sent out 6 messages. You're fucking no one. Who are you?
Mm,
Like I'm like, why do I care about you? Why are you a main character in this right now?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like, yeah, and then sometimes I'll go a little hard, but they're like, hey, why are you being mean? And I'm like, ah, shit, sorry. Like, whoops, forgot you're a person too. Like,
Yeah,
my bad. But
totally. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's something I talk about it a lot on here. I struggle with and don't necessarily handle well these kind of moments of like I feel like I'm being antagonized by someone, and so I'll
yeah,
react to it, and there is a possibility that that person didn't mean it the way I took it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so it's
Because
hard.
it's so hard to. I mean, it's impossible to convey tone through text. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if they did like a text to speech, it's still some shitty AI voice. Like you're not gonna really like, how are you going to like have it kind of convey that it's only in jest versus
Sure.
being overly critical or anything like that.
Right.
um yeah, so like it's hard to tell, and I think when you are feeling a little bit weird about things, then you're going to like imprint, like you're going to do like projection where you're like, all right, I'm just kind of not in it with this stream right now anyway. This message came in, and it may not have meant to, like, they did not intend for it to be like mean or critical, but because
Yeah.
like I'm just kind of in my own head right now, I'm reading it that way, and now fuck
Yep.
you. Now I'm
Yep.
mad.
And I think we're all human, and allowing ourselves humanity is important. But like, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, like you said, like it's hard to convey tone. It's hard to convey inflection, and I think that I really do rely on chat tenure and having built some kind of rapport with certain people where it's like
Yeah.
I know how you mean it. Someone that's new or doesn't chat all that often, I'm a little bit more wary and guarded, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, especially like, if they come in and immediately want to do like a sassy back and forth banter, it's like, okay, but I don't know what your game is yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like are you doing this just to be a bit of a detractor, or are you
Mm-hmm.
doing this like, uh, out of purity, and you just want some good banter?
Right.
Can't tell yet.
Like I
Like,
don't know if you've
what are
earned
you
that
after?
sass. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's like I'm not against sass. I'm just trying to figure out like from whence and
From
why. And
whence is your sass?
from whence the sass. Yeah.
You mentioned trying to, post videos once a month. And how often do you stream? Do you have a set schedule right now, or is it just kind of
I
when you can?
yeah, it used to be way more of a like carved in stone schedule. Honestly, lately I'm and this was something that I did uh after my like birthday event last weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Um where I'm not straight up like it's not a retirement or anything, but it's like I am going to reel back from streaming a little bit more to focus on YouTube. Mostly just because like much love to the community out there, but it's like when I upload a video on YouTube and that has me like double my sub count, it's like that's the reinforcement that I'm looking for. Like that's
Mm.
that's that's the results. Like so I still will stream. I actually streamed a couple days ago to record a video for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do that, or maybe if I'm just trying to just have a casual chill day. And it's funny because I say that, but the Elden Ring DLC is coming out in a few weeks. I'm gonna be a full
Gonna
time
have to
streamer
stream
again
it.
after
Yeah,
that.
totally.
Gotta fucking stream that. Yeah. So yeah, me just being like, guys, I'm kind of retiring, but not really. Don't worry, I'll be back in a couple weeks. Like it's fine.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think it's valid to take breaks. And I mean, this is the season finale because I kind of want to take a break from doing this for a little bit,
yeah.
So I think taking breaks can be good because you can come back with a fresh perspective. And I think that like taking that gap of time can kind of help you like realign like what you want to do, whether it's with
Mhm.
streaming or with, editing on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
It's just a
ever,
good reset.
yeah, get a reset. Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you ever feel any pressure and anxiety around like posting new videos or streaming?
Um, no, not really. I mean, like streaming, like for the events when I do a face cam, that's where the anxiety is. Where I'm just like,
Okay.
wait, what are we doing? Like, got to make sure this is right. Like,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, man, people really just let me going out in public looking the way I do, huh? Like you see that in the camera, and you're like, oh, this is how I am perceived. Fuck. Like, um,
Well, not necessarily. That's how you're perceiving yourself, but yeah.
sure, yeah. Well, and also just the aspect ratio of the camera, like totally different than
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone's figured out what the actual like eyeball aspect ratio is. Like I'm not sure what that is.
Mm.
But yeah, because that's a whole thing too. It's like an FOV where it's like, all right, it shows like how how round your face might be. Like you can find a thing where it's like it's the exact same picture of a guy taken like all in one succession, but with different aspect ratios, and he looks completely different in all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think really only as far as nerves is during the editing process for me, because I'm
Mm.
trying to get the one thing that I still just for some reason can't lock in like just 100% is um having the audio levels correctly. Like it's because I think my setup is I have a sound bar, so it's still like for all intents and purposes, it is mono sound coming from there. So I'm not really hearing if anything's being washed out, or maybe if the game audio is too quiet or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's more like not necessarily the actual like stream or the upload itself. It's the stuff going into it before that even begins.
Yeah.
Like took me such a long time to get my microphone shit right, where just had to get like a bunch of like random filters and stuff on it where it's like, okay, I'm not peaking, it's not like getting grainy if I get too loud.
Mm-hmm.
uh Took me a long ass time to like figure that out, and I'm sure there's even still moments where it's like, could still use some work.
Oh,
But yeah,
same. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, and I think it's one of those things too that like we're constantly tweaking and evolving and getting new equipment or whatever. So it's kind of this never ending process. And I think too that like there's validity to streaming with whatever setup you've got,
Yep.
even if it is a shitty
Yep.
microphone or whatever.
Definitely. Yeah.
For you,
Yeah.
like, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, it was yeah, it was just no. You had me just kind of like looking back on when I had a Yeti Snowball instead of like a blue, and
Yeah.
like yeah, and didn't know how to put filters on it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean I have videos from like a while ago where it's like at my old apartment you hear the box fan in the fucking
Sure.
background and like just like shit like that where it's just like yep like
Yeah.
that's how it was back then. Like
It took
yeah.
me so long to put a compressor on my voice. Had headphone warnings all the time, and then I remember when I finally did do it, I was like, "Oh, but peaking is part of my charm." It's like, no, probably not. Like, it's
Well, and so that was something like it took me a really long time into like with OBS, which is what I like everyone uses. Um, for audio levels, especially with a mic, you want it in the red a little bit. You just don't want it.
you want it
You
just
don't want.
kissing the red,
Yeah,
right?
you
Like
want
just
you want to
right there.
just give it a little just knocking on Red's door.
Yeah,
Like he's like, but I didn't know that. Like,
yeah,
because to me it's like, no, I figured like if anything's hitting the red, that's fucking bad. So I'm
right.
just gonna like I'm just gonna have it just before that, and then I'm like, why is everything so quiet all the time? And it's like, yeah, because you had it too quiet. Like
Yeah,
you're actually supposed to have it like right in the red.
because
And,
people
yeah,
assume like green light go, red, yellow light no, slow it down, red light stop, right? And
yeah,
it's like, well,
yeah,
actually
yeah.
no. And I remember I learned that from Weaselbeth, who's one of my favorite streamers.
Right,
She's
yeah,
hard of hearing, and she was like, "Here's the thing: you can always turn it down. You can't necessarily turn it up beyond a certain point." I was like, "Oh,
right.
that's a really great way to think of it."
Yep.
So yeah, I'd rather be too loud than too quiet, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stuff that you just learn along the way, I think.
Hmm.
For you talking about like doing like special event streams and having your camera, like the overwhelming majority of the time you don't have a camera unless you're doing
Yes.
special events, right? Like
Yeah.
why is that? What was your decision making with
I
that?
mean, I think it just started off where, I mean, I really how it started off was just because, again, the same reason why I didn't use any of my like old online handles or whatever is because, again, I don't fucking know what dumb shit I said as a kid or anything like that. Because, yeah, like self admittedly, I had a dumbass, like, privileged white boy edge streak going on. So it's like I had that. So it's like, yep, some dumb shit that I may have said way back in the day, 100% doesn't reflect who I am now, or even
Yeah,
10 years ago, uh, but it's out there.
yeah.
So same thing with uh why I didn't want to have the microphone. I didn't, or sorry, the webcam.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't really want people making weird connections. Just you never, especially again being like having the edge streak that I grew up with shit like 4chan and stuff like that, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you should never underestimate the lengths that a weird like emboldened internet group will go to.
Yeah.
Like never, like, because once you do, that's when they're going to be like challenge accepted and
Mm.
immediately fucking go after you, just to teach you a lesson, just
Sure.
to prove a fucking point,
Just for
um
fun.
for fun. Yeah, so the part of it was that, and then also like to me is it, I mean with other like popular streamers like Grapefruit barely does a camera, Germa does a camera sometimes, like Vine Sauce barely does a camera. um I I have always viewed it where it's like, again, like, no, it's about the game, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
um you're hearing my voice, what does it matter if you see my face with it,
Yeah.
like because I'm not doing the reaction YouTuber thing where it's just there sitting and watching a video and just like, oh, that's crazy, dude. And like, like that, because that's to me why there's always been like a weird little fucking camera in the corner, or
Mm-hmm.
it's completely fake as fuck. It's the PewDiePie like screeching, and it's like, this isn't how you really are, but
Yeah.
that's the algorithm that you're playing to your 12-year-old audience, and that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's kind of that. I know there was a lot of reasons why I didn't use the webcam, but those were like the big ones.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Well, and I think that was my feeling for the longest time, like, especially starting out with hardcore WoW. It's like, it's more about me trying to, like, get to max level without dying.
Yeah,
It's not really about, being entertaining or whatever. I just
yeah,
happen to be entertaining. Huh. It's, anyway, it's an accident. But it's weird because, like, as things have evolved, then it's like, oh, people are paying attention. What do I do with that? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Do I change what I'm doing now that I know that people want to hang out. So it's interesting. I don't know. For me, it's an interesting like mind fuck a little bit where I do much prefer not having my camera on for the
Yeah.
most part, but now I feel a little bit more comfortable with it where it's like it's fun to do every now and again, you know? So
Sure. Yeah.
just kind of depends. Yeah.
And that's definitely what I had grown into. I was shocked at how short it took for me to not have that like weird recoil when you hear your voice in a
Uh-huh.
recording.
Yeah.
Like, because like that used to be the thing, like, and I'm sure a lot of people still, or if they hear a recording of themselves, they're just like, ugh, like, oh, what the fuck? And
Mhm.
yeah, like it it took barely any time for me to be like neutral to it. Doesn't bother me fucking at all now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's one of those things that's like I think I talk about this a lot with editing. On some level, if you're going to edit your own content, you have to think that you're entertaining. You have to, right? Because
Yeah,
why else would you be like
yeah.
editing your own stuff if you don't
Every
think on
every
some level you are,
streamer
right?
every streamer or creator is going to be a little bit of a narcissist, right? Because I mean, why else would you kind of put yourself out there?
Mm-hmm.
Like if maybe not narcissist. I can't really think of like a better way to put it because I'm not trying to be mean spirited about it, but
Yeah.
like, but you got to have some sort of, again, like narcissism or maybe like egotism with this idea of, oh, someone will want to watch me,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
like I am bringing something to the table that people will enjoy. Like,
Right.
you kind of have to have your head up your ass a little bit to do it.
Yeah. I think you have to be
People
your
who
own
are,
champion. Yeah.
yeah, people who are like humble and shit and they're like weird and shy, it's like cool, but if you're gonna be like Michael Sarah about it, people aren't gonna really want that,
Well, for me,
like,
it's more of the self-deprecating kind of like
yeah,
view where it's like if you well, humans are complicated, and we all exist with so much
we're
conflict,
nebulous.
right? Yeah, we are. But there is something interesting to me about like I hate the sound of my voice. I cringe at my clips, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
edit them together and put them out into the world for people to see them. So on some level, you have to like what you're doing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
which is interesting to me.
I mean, Exhibit A is my new profile picture.
Hey,
Like,
it's beautiful. Love it.
it's not flattering in any means, but it also kind of just conveys what you're gonna get
It's
into.
what you're
So
all about. It's
yeah,
your brand.
yeah, yeah. Also, it was like it's time to move on from Steven Seagal. I need to figure
You
something
know,
else
Steven
out.
Seagal had his moment, and it
He
was
had
a
his
good
run.
time.
Yeah, yeah, but that's we can get rid of him.
Your about panel is still really funny to me. All the different like pictures that you've chosen for
What the
it.
fuck do I even have my about
You
panel
have
at?
Guy Fieri baby. You have Garfield slumped in the corner.
I do have
Uh,
Garfield in the corner, and that's also Garfield in the corner in isn't that in YouTube as well? I think it is. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I
Oh
think it
yeah, no.
is. Yeah.
Banner on this one is Brendan Fraser. Garfield is Goofy.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
And then yeah, and my end screen for when I disconnect is a picture of fucking Tim Allen, and it just says Tim Allen is fired. So
See, this is
yeah,
what
I
I
don't know
love.
what vibe I was trying to cultivate back in 2016, but that's where we're at.
But you hit on something that is like there's something to me that's really refreshing about it, and also I question whether or not it's getting in your, and I say you, the general you, getting
Yeah,
in your way. There's this like meta idea of like my about panel needs to have my socials, it needs to have this, it needs to be
yeah.
matching and like blah blah blah, right? Versus like, nah, I think this picture's funny, here it is. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So there's like something to me that's like really refreshing and cool about that.
If you want to click on my YouTube, you just have to click on Gallagher, who looks like a watermelon.
Right.
It's like that's how you do it. Like,
I didn't realize that's what that is, but that's amazing.
I think
I,
that's what that
I
is.
thought it
Like,
was a Tim and Eric thing for whatever reason. I don't know why. But yeah,
oh
love
no,
it.
that's Gallagher. Yeah.
Oh, that's Gallagher. Oh, that's Gallagher. Twitch chat, we're gonna come to you in a minute. So if you have any questions for Starknuckle, throw them into chat, and we'll get to
Yeah.
those. Ask away. Get your questions in while they're hot. I don't know what that means.
I don't want cold questions, please.
We want hot
The
questions
hot questions.
and even hotter wings.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
What are some of your maybe passions or hobbies outside of streaming?
Um, I don't really have much, honestly. I mean, like, and that's not me trying to fall into like the grind or anything. It's like if if I'm if I'm not streaming or editing, then I'm just playing the games without streaming or editing them.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly it. I mean, yeah, it's that's also just kind of the life, right? You're working 40 plus hours a week. You have your off time to stream or to edit or to whatever. Outside of
Mm-hmm.
that is sleeping or dissociating.
Mm-hmm.
That's so like,
Yep.
without sounding like a bummer, yeah, I guess one of my hobbies is to just blink the fuck out for a second
Absolutely.
and like, yeah,
No.
stare into nothing.
Capitalist
Yeah,
hellscape. It's what we have to do to survive.
yeah. If I could earn 40 an hour or 40 hour a week money only working like 25 hours, maybe I can get into other things. But
Yeah.
like for now, there isn't really time.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
understandable. Um, are there any uh is there anything that has like surprised you since you first started streaming?
Uh Not really. I think like I think the thing that surprises me is just how other people have found success through it. Cause like
Mm.
it's fucking tough out there. Like where it's like and I think what to like rehash what we were talking about earlier, where it's like how some big streamers have the communities that they have because I believe not fully that like yes the community is like a reflection of the streamer. It's a weird like almost like a personality implication.
Mm-hmm.
But not all the time, right? Like sometimes you are just going to have weird fucked up people come in and that's not necessarily a reflection of who you are. So it is crazy to me how there are some people that like keep that shit like keep that ship tight like
Yeah.
where like a Doug or whoever where yeah they have a community but somehow without like being overly control freaky about it
Yeah.
they are able to steer it in this direction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something really beautiful about that, and also when we're talking about like big communities, I agree with you.
Yeah,
It's like, how did you do that?
yeah.
We talked a little bit about backseating, but just like the trolls in general, or people coming in that are just trying to be hateful. Like, how do you deal with trolls, and what is behavior that to you is like, okay, ban, timeout, whatever. Like, what are your thoughts that way?
I mean, banner timeout, like, I mean, obviously, you have your non-starters, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
someone comes in and just like slurs it up. like
Sure.
I'm just like, all right, dog, peace. Like, I'll ban them, and then I'll even say, I'm just like, if you want to try and appeal it, and if you want to like be real and be like, hey, I was a fucking shithead, I'm sorry, then maybe we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I remember like one fucking dude just came in out of nowhere, and it was definitely like it was the weirdest type of fucking dog whistle where he was like, who do you think is more physically capable, transsexuals or homosexuals? And I was like, I think I'm just gonna ban you. I'm really confused about how offended I am about
Yeah.
it. Because like
Yeah.
it's not really hateful, but it's definitely like objectifying. I don't know. Like so I was just like, I'm not engaging with this question.
Yeah.
First off, like because I don't fucking know what that was about. Second off, gonna ban you if you want to appeal this, I guess you can. I just don't know whatever avenue this was going to like end up leading us down was going to be a bad one.
Right.
but
Right.
like
Right. Right.
like technically you didn't break any rules, but I didn't like where this was going.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
immediately just got you out there. Yeah, but as far as like backseaters or whatever, or just trolls, if they're not doing like you know the shitty, really hateful stuff, if they're just being like dumb, like aren't I cute, and it's like, nah, you're an asshole. Like I feel like what they're looking for is outrage, like actual like
Mm.
outrage and like meltdowns and shit like that. And so I'm just kind of like, wow, you misspelled that word. You're fucking stupid. and like, and it just immediately cuts down their fucking motivation, and they will leave. Or if they want to keep doing it, then eventually I'll just be like, what's your fucking game, dude? And I don't know, like me just kind of like criticizing them, their like syntax and like their grammar and shit is enough to get them to just being like, we're not getting what we want. I'm out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah, but so I don't know. Like, luckily, I don't. I think that's the problem with getting with growth is that you are only going to be inviting more of that bullshit in,
Sure.
right? So like, there is a weird secret like benefit to being still small time that you're
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily attracting these shitty people that come in just to be destructive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that one fucking guy though with that question, I was like, I'm just playing Cuphead, dude. Like, I don't know what you're fucking doing, but
Right.
all right, like you're out of here.
You're trying to start something. I don't know
You're
what.
trying to start something. Yeah,
Gonna.
again, it's like it's the weirdest dog whistle. I did not
Mm-hmm.
understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I don't know, like how much weight can one lift? Like, if we're talking about physically capable,
Yeah.
like I don't know,
There's so much
physically
to unpack
capable.
there.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
yeah, like
Such an
which one
odd
could beat you in
question.
chess? I'm like, I don't fucking know. This is weird. Like, what are you saying? Yeah,
It's certainly
no,
like trying to like garner a reaction of some
something.
sort.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there was a dog whistle to it. I don't know what,
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you wherever we land isn't good. So
Mm-hmm.
bye. Um,
Totally.
yeah, yeah. I feel like for the most part, like the 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 worst type of like derailing shit that I have is that I do have some young viewers who are actually children, maybe not really supposed to be on Twitch. I don't think they're 13.
Yeah.
Um, that will just be stupid like 12-year-old kids of them just like slamming their head against the keyboard and then hitting enter. And it's just like stupid garbled spam in chat where I'm just like, what you doing, dude? Like, come on, don't do this. Like, it feels genuinely like a kid where it's just like, why are you just gibberishing at me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I haven't really had any like anything super like discouraging that way.
Well, that's good.
Again, yeah, luckily again, I think it's just because of my size.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, but and that's also like so is always so surprising to me with like the bigger people where like mods are fucking on top of it where it's like I don't even see the message and it just like spawns in as message deleted where I'm like, oh, good job. Like
Yeah.
y'all
You
are
don't even
on.
notice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Swoggle wants to know, what's the opinion on overlays for streams? I know some streamers, VTubers especially, use big themed overlays as opposed to just putting the game out there.
I mean, I don't really have any like opinions either way. I think it just depends on whether or not it fits your aesthetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like some people will go all out with overlays. I think it depends on what you want the focus to be on your stream, right? If it's the you show and you're like and the game is supposed to be a back burner, then yeah, overlay it up. But I mean, other than that, like some games too are done in a weird resolution or aspect. Like Mario 64 comes in as a square. You're gonna have weird black bars on either side. Yeah, get a fucking overlay. Like that's have some other stuff around it. Especially if you're trying to do. This was like part of the meta for a while. It's not really anymore, but the Streamlabs like cup where like people would like drop bits into it and then they would like
Oh
scatter out.
yeah, the little tip
Remember those?
jar. Yeah, totally.
You probably want like an overlay for that because you don't want that just like over the game. But
Just a random cup that's like in the middle of your screen.
I mean, that was towards the end of most recent Nuck Fest, which was like the birthday thing. Was I always have a weird moment with all the Nuck Fests where it's just like, like stream's getting weird. Where I put on the Keenan and Kel movie, and made that the majority of the screen, while the small like green screen was the game that I was playing. So it was
That's
me just like
amazing.
and so I mean I don't know if that really fully answers the overlay question. Maybe just don't do Keenan and Kel the movie as far as
Yeah, I'm amazed that that didn't get like taken
because I
down.
cornered that market. That's mine. But
Did it get
yeah,
muted?
no,
Wow, nice.
it's on Internet Archive. So like yeah,
Fair. That's funny.
yeah,
Well, and with you too, like I know that you've got like this isn't exactly overlay related, but kind of like you've got the Pokemon catch kind of bot thing happening, and
sure,
then recently you've gotten the fishing game that like in the corner if
yeah,
people want to fish
yeah.
while you're playing your game. Does
Mm-hmm.
that do, having those kinds of things on your stream, does that ever feel like that's detracting from what you're doing, or is that something that like has
I
helped?
don't think so. It's going to be a weird line to walk moving forward when I'm going to start utilizing the streams for recording specifically, because I don't I'm not gonna want the fishing game to just randomly pop up in a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a way to have OBS only capture the game for recording, but then can stream. There's always a way.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do agree. I think that does kind of fall into the stream overlay territory. Um, and I think there are people that just either don't want to chat, would like rather lurk because, you know, either they're busy, they're like doing work from home stuff, whatever, or they just don't really know what to do to engage.
Yeah.
But you know, this gives you this weird feeling of like, okay, well, I can still like have some sort of interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, people love the imaginary points that you get for fishing.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the game, there's also a part too where it's like, same with like face cam, where it's like, oh, there's actually like something on the HUD down in this corner, so now I got to move the face cam over here. Where do I put the
Mm-hmm.
fish game? Like, now
Mm-hmm.
it's covering my health or whatever. Yeah, it's, but yeah, I think, yeah, to really nail down the answer for like the overlay stuff, like I think it just do whatever you think fits your aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever vibe you're trying to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that is going to be different for every person. And like, even for me, I have different layouts depending on the game that I'm playing or the stream that I'm doing, kind of a thing. So I think too, it depends on how much like you enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, I really like making different overlays, but there are other people that probably don't. So like, it's,
yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of up to you.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so, I mean, that's again the beauty of something like this where, yeah, there's always going to be someone that's like, what you're doing is different from me, therefore I hate you. And it's
right,
like,
right, right. Therefore,
like,
it's wrong.
I don't, yeah, just because I probably wouldn't do an overlay doesn't mean I'm like, anyone who does this is terrible. Like,
Totally.
I'm
Well,
not making that decree.
some of my least favorite overlays, not to call anyone out or whatever, are the ones that kind of end up looking like a NASCAR car where there's just like sponsor thing here, this, that.
Yeah.
Where to me it like almost gets to a point where it's kind of distracting. Those to me I don't like, but I also understand why people have them, you know?
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I got a fucking price. If someone wanted to give me, if G Fuel was like, hey, we
Sure.
will give you money, you gotta have the G Fuel logo like show up every now and again. It's like, oh, time to get a bit of an
Listen,
overlay going. Like,
I've done sponsorships, didn't make a whole lot of money from them, but I've done them. You know what I mean? So you gotta
we
try
all
it
got a
out.
price.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. What's your
yep.
price? Um, yeah, Fenaria says, as a mobile watcher, I find massive overlays difficult because it makes the game so difficult to watch. Yeah. And I watch Twitch the majority of the time on my phone, definitely. I know other people watch it on their computer or whatever, but generally for me, it's, yeah, on my
Yeah.
phone. So I'm with you,
Well,
Fenaria.
and like Cardboard Cowboy, his thing is pretty much nothing but overlays. And he
So
uses
cool,
that
though.
in the most insane creative ways ever.
Yeah.
And there's one dude that I don't know if this like necessarily counts as like an overlay thing, but he played BeamNG Drive, so like the Carboys shit. Um,
Mm.
but it was him just doing like a cross country road trip, and the way that he set it up is that he has like a like driving rig, like so the steering wheel, and his chat monitor and his camera was behind him, so it looked like they were like in the back seat of a car while he's driving. So he
Hmm.
had to like turn around to like talk to them and to read chat,
So
and would get in
funny.
like crashes and shit. And like, and
I
was like
love that.
trying to drink like chocolate milk while doing it. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's fucking great.
Yeah, I think people can do really creative, interesting things with their
Yeah,
overlays depending on what they're doing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Cardboard Cowboy's great. Yeah, he's great. This wasn't exactly a question, but earlier Jalen and Fenaria were talking about rebooting your nostalgia, and Fenaria said that the best way to do that would be as Muppet movies, which they never
Oh,
do. So I'm curious for
yeah.
you, what is a movie that you would like to see rebooted as a Muppet movie?
So, all right, we're stepping into
We're
some
getting
territory.
into it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're getting into
We're a
it.
Muppet household. I don't know if you all knew this.
Yeah. No, we've gone into it. No, Well, are we talking about like Muppet movies? Because usually Muppet movies will revamp or do adaptations of like classic lit, or are we just talking
Yeah,
about
well,
a
that's
movie
interesting.
rebooted as a Muppet
I
movie?
think because of all the movie reboots, I'll narrow it to that. But if you have a classic lit or something outside of that you think
Yeah,
of, go for it.
not my idea. Unfortunately, this was like a Reddit thing. Lord of the Rings would be great.
Lord of the Rings would be good. Okay,
Um,
but who would be
Lo-
your human? Because you have to have one human.
I think the human would be Frodo, and then the
Okay,
rest are it's either Frodo or Gandalf. But
I was gonna say
no, I don't. I
Gandalf.
don't think it. I don't think it can be Gandalf. I
It's
think
because
it's
he's not
got to
there
be,
enough, is the thing.
or maybe just like have the weird outlier like Legolas. like,
Just like random Orlando
yeah,
Bloom is there for whatever
yeah.
reason.
Just keep Orlando Bloom in there. Um, yeah, like Lord of the Rings would be great. I think like also people talk about like doing like Great Gatsby, and that would be
Oh, that
incredible.
would be
Where the one human
wild.
is Nick Carraway,
Uh-huh.
which is perfect. Yeah. Um, oh God, yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. Like as far as a reboot, maybe even like I keep going back to Die Hard, and I don't know why. Because
Okay.
this is a terrible confession. I've only seen the third Die Hard, but I think it would work.
I
Like I
think it
think
would
it would
work
work.
too. Well, this
Well,
is one
Samuel
again,
Jackson.
not either of our ideas, but one that I saw, I want to say on like Twitter or something. Having a D&D campaign where you've got your human players, but then like that are playing at the table, but then what they're actually doing is Muppets that are doing the adventure.
Okay, well, all right. See,
You
now you
know,
jogged my brain, and this one's Nux original.
let's see
Princess
it.
Bride.
Oh, Princess Bride would be
Princess
so
Bride
good.
is still Fred Savage and
And
Grandpa
Grandpa
in real life,
and
but
Columbo.
then when he's reading the book, it goes into like Muppet world.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's real
that would
fun.
be the move.
That's a
That's the
great
move right
move. Yeah. I
there.
love that. That's fantastic. We're free Savage and Grandpa. Swoggle asks, what do you think is the best way to advertise or grow your channel outside of being live? I hate trying to
Yeah.
advertise on other people's channels because rating. Yeah, besides rating.
God, you know what? That's actually such. That's always so fucking hard to kind of navigate because
Yeah.
like this is something that I have talked about a little bit too, where like I this is a tangent, but like I kind of loosely really appreciate, but I'm also discouraged that all the big streamers are friends with each other. They all know each other. Like they all have done shit with each other. They probably hang out
Mm-hmm.
off stream all the time, which is cool. But then it gives you a vibe of like it's a club that you can't get into, or it's like
Yeah.
like I'm not tall enough to ride.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe that the core of that, unfortunately, it's like streamer friendship and stuff like that is transactional.
Mm.
Like it's unless there's someone that like is straight up just being like really fucking like what you do, I want to boost you. It's I feel like a lot of like collaborations and stuff would be like, what can I also get out of this? It's like
Yeah.
the bigger fish,
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like it's always weird like talking like whenever I do hop in on other streams, and unless it's like actual friendships like with me and Swoggle or you and I, um where we know that when the other person is talking about their stream, it's not them trying to like do weird self promotion.
Mm-hmm.
uh yeah, because like how do you like find a new community or a new channel and shoot the shit with them and trying to just like bridge that gap of just being like, I also have a stream without seeming like you're trying to get something out of it.
Totally.
I don't fucking know how. I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, I think the best way to advertise without trying to do that in between, trying to advertise your channel without trying to utilize other channels is different. Different platforms, like
Yeah.
do video edits on YouTube, do TikTok shorts, Instagram shorts, whatever. Um, and that's probably how you're going to get like new audience members who otherwise probably wouldn't find you organically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know how you can like try collabing is hard. I've never really like other than like you and me. Uh I haven't because it's a weird thing to do. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really know what, and also because I think when it is you or me, it's I don't go into it as a collab.
Yeah.
It's just siblings doing dumb shit together, and like
Right. Totally.
that's it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a tough one. I think just me personally, I always feel a little bit weird trying to do it with other Twitch channels. It's yeah, I just try and have my YouTube lead people over to Twitch, Twitch lead people over to YouTube. Um, Especially because those are two different audiences. Like there
Mm-hmm.
are people that are like, I don't want to watch you stream, but I love the edited shit. Or the other thing where it's like, can I have you on in the background while I do the dishes or whatever? Yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
have something for everyone. But
I do think you nailed it though. I think networking is huge.
yeah,
I think that, and I think you're right. I think there are very insulated communities on Twitch that if you happen to be there at the right time, you were maybe able to get in on it. And
yeah,
if not, you have to kind of create your own communities that way.
yeah,
And yeah, like you said, like I almost think that you have to be really real and honest about other streamers that you're watching of like, do I feel like I fit in this community? Do I genuinely enjoy this content? Do I
yeah,
genuinely enjoy this person? And then from there,
yeah.
hanging out there enough. I know you said besides rating, potentially rating, like that kind
I
of
think
stuff. It's
rating's the
like,
only one, honestly. Yeah, and it's got to be like brief rating, not you being like, "Hey, bringing my people over, follow my shit too." Like you just kind of have to do the raid, and it's almost like not necessarily altruism, but it's you definitely doing it without any ulterior motives.
I
You're rating
also would
someone, and then you're
say,
not hoping to get a million viewers out of that or
yeah,
whatever.
I also would say shoot your shot if you have an idea. And that's
Yeah,
purely from this podcast. And granted, there are streamers that I would love to interview that I have not followed this advice on. But in general, like I reaching out a few people reached out to me because they wanted to be on this, but for the most
yeah,
part I reached out to other people. And so it started with me reaching out to people that I felt like I had formed a real friendship through Twitch on, so it was a little bit more
yep,
comfortable. But there were people that I eventually did reach out to that it's like, hey, you don't know who I am, but I watch your streams and I like you.
yeah,
And those people said yes. So I think too, like if you have an idea for collaboration that you want to do, DM the person, because the
yeah,
worst case scenario is they either don't respond or they say no.
yeah.
Right? There's no harm, no foul in that. So I think that there's merit to that too.
Yeah. And sometimes I will like, definitely try and punch above my belt where it's like, okay, cool. Like I've got like 6 people with me right now. I'll bring them over to Grapefruit and see what
Mm-hmm.
that does. Like, yeah, I'm not expecting him to be like, everyone, fuck yeah, this is my new best friend. Like, nope.
Right.
But I think that's also a key factor is that you want to do it without any, again, with no ulterior motive or like expectation. You go into it with the intent of just rating somebody, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Or you maybe do find someone where it's like you want to view it as almost like investing at the ground floor where you see someone your size or maybe even smaller, and but you're like, oh no, you got some potential, dude. So then you are kind of getting in on that already.
That for me is more effective and makes more sense. Like lift up the people around you.
Yeah,
And
yeah, the dude
again,
that has 1,500 viewers, they don't need the fucking boost.
yeah,
Like
right.
they're
Like
fine.
generally speaking, I try to raid people that are that have a lower viewer count or whatever. Because people that have a lower viewer count that I also really like and believe in, right? Like that's generally what I do. Because I don't know that rating a big channel is going to do all that much for you. Every
Yeah,
now and again, I will because it's like, hey, I like this person. I want you guys to know who this person is or whatever. But like generally speaking,
yeah,
I'd rather create my own community than try to like fit into an already formed one, I guess, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, because it feels like you're a weird like tourist and like
Kinda
a little bit of like a colonizer. Like you don't really want to do that,
something like
but
that, or
like
like I feel like I'm not part of the inside joke sometimes, you know what I mean?
yep,
Yeah, when
yeah, that
Jalen
part.
says it's real easy to feel spammy real quick,
Yes, yeah,
it
and
is.
that's and I feel like there's no way to turn someone off faster than by
Mm-hmm.
hitting that level.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah. Podmodge, I loved the whatever you accidentally typed rather than proofreading it. Never change. It's beautiful. We're free, Savage and Grandpa.
Yeah, Grandpa.
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 So I don't even know what you were trying to say, but I liked it.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Swaga wants to know opinions on giveaways.
I've never done one,
Me
but
neither. Well, no, that's
yeah.
not true. I guess I have, but yeah.
No, yeah, you did like stickers and stuff for a minute,
Yeah, we did the Bob Ross streams where it's like,
and yeah, and Bob Ross.
mhm.
Yeah, that's more. I feel like it's almost more like sweepstakes than give or like a competition over giveaway.
A little bit of
But
a competition kind of vibe, yeah.
I think it works. I think that's another one where again don't really have any ulterior motive, because if you're doing a giveaway or anything like that with the expectation of, oh, this could like boost my numbers or my crowd, you're only going to pull in people because they just want to get something from you. And then, if they either do or don't get the thing that you were possibly giving away, then they might just bounce. If you want to do it just for fun because you have something that you want to do giveaways on, hell yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, it really is. It does come down to just like what your underlying motivation is, because part of that too is that if you don't get the result that you're looking for, then you're gonna have like you're gonna feel discouraged, and then it's gonna kind of like take the wind out of your sails a bit.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it for fun and you don't have any like higher intention outside of that, sick. Then you're just having fun with it. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's this is something that like somewhere with I've had people ask like if a subathon or anything like that would ever be a possibility in the future. And I'm like, no, not in the future, like not in the near future, because it could feel like that sad story that everyone knows of, where it's like the kid that invites everybody to their birthday party and no one shows up. Like that would fuck me up pretty badly. So it's like, nah, the only time I would do that is if I like have, just a constant stream of chat or like whatever, like knowing that people would actually want to pay me to stick around. Like, yeah. So the same type of shit. It's because that is, you have a motivation. A subathon is you trying to get people to pay you to not go offline. So like you do that and no one fucking shows up, then it's like, oh, cool, I know what people think about me. and then that sucks,
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a couple things that are coming up for this. For me is like this question of like, what are your limits, and like being very self-aware with regard to like how do things impact you, and how do you view yourself, and kind of like being honest about that so you can take care of yourself within this. And that's hard. Like how do you navigate that for yourself?
I don't know.
That's okay. It's a big question.
Honestly, I lay down the tracks as I go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's just, and I mean, it sucks just being like, yeah, just take it a day at a time. You cross the bridge when you come to it. It's kind of how I do it. Yeah. Loosely, it's worked out for me so far. So,
yeah. I think too, the other thing that keeps coming up for me is like, what is your end goal motivation, right? And so with a giveaway, for example, what is your end goal motivation? Is it to bring in new people?
Right.
Is it to reward the people that are there? Is it because, hey, you happen to get some stream keys and so you might as well give them away, right? Like so what is the end motivation? And I think too, like when we talk about growth, that's another thing where it's really like being honest with yourself. It's like, do I want growth for growth's sake? Or do I want growth that is conducive to who I am and what I'm putting out there? You know what I mean? Because those are two very different types of growth, realistically speaking.
When gambling was still allowed on Twitch and I did the gambling stream, the new people that I brought in were people asking me to fucking give them money so they could gamble. So like, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Also, fuck you. It's my birthday. Why are you asking me that? Like, you give me money, but like,
Totally. Yeah.
Like tangential, but yeah, I feel like it's a pretty good example of what you're looking for. Yeah, because you do bring in, you're opening yourself up to a specific crowd, so it's what their motivation might be as well.
Yeah. Fenaria says, I feel like subathons and charity streams take a lot of groundwork behind the scenes that's hard to grok until you've been there. So much advertising ahead of time and such to make sure people will actually be there. Source, I tried to do a charity stream once and it flopped ridiculously hard and the discouragement level was through the roof. Yeah,
That's
it's
what I'm
hard.
saying, dude.
It's
Yeah,
real hard.
like it sucks. Like, yeah, that's the only way where it's like I would almost need to have like a sort of like petition or something where it's like when I have this many signatures of people being like, fuck yeah, do a subathon, then I would.
Yeah,
But until then, like, yeah, if I somehow magically had all 270 of my fucking followers on here, like all being like, I will be there, then it's like, okay, maybe. But again, it's like there's so many other parameters that we have to like meet and exceed before it's even like a, a possibility for me to
absolutely.
consider. Yeah.
Yeah. For me with charity streams, I've done one day one off like charity streams and they've worked out okay, luckily. But for me the better way of doing that is I'm going to leave this charity thing up as long as it takes to
Yeah,
get
you do the
whatever
Trevor
goal.
Project shit. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So leave it up for a month, leave it up for 2 months, whatever, and that feels a little
Right.
bit better to me than having a one day where it's like nobody came.
Yeah. Yeah.
Subathon for me, structuring it in a way that like feels good for you, where it's like I'm not necessarily saying we're adding time to the clock. I'm saying if you sub, here's a thing I'll do. Like if you donate $5, here's a thing I'll do. So like figuring out
You do it like
ways.
the like PBS telethon type shit,
That's how
right?
I
Like,
do it. Is
yeah,
more like a
yeah. You have your
telethon.
stretch goals.
That
Yeah,
feels better to me.
yeah,
So I think it's figuring out what a way to do that is that feels good for you, you know.
yep,
So I think there's ways
yep.
to do it as a small streamer, but you have to be a little bit more creative about it because you're not going to get the oil barons that are just like stream for 7 days. You know what I mean? It's just
Right. Yeah.
not realistic.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
even the people that I do follow that are like low level partner, but still partner, like your Josh Belmars and your Alba boxes and stuff, where it's like,
Sure.
okay, like Josh Belmar, his recent subathon was fucking crazy. Like it went on for like 70 days.
Wild.
Which I think that
Wild.
might have been his first ever, where it's like, all right, real quick back of the hand math, and this is not super accurate because of like the cut that Twitch takes and all of that. Made like 100K. Like
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Well, let's call it less. We could even say 70K, even though that's a
Mhm.
massive like underestimation now. That's still a lot of fucking money to do that. And it's like, in a weird, like, I guess like self-critical way, like is the entertainment that I bring out worth 70K for like is it $7,000 a day? Is that worth it? Sadly, I don't think so. I know my shit's dope, but like not $7,000 a day dope.
Well, so
Like,
then we get into this question of how do you measure your worth?
right.
Because I don't think it's fair to measure it by viewer count. I don't think it's fair to by follower count, and I don't think it's fair to measure it by like money. So like, how do you decide that what you're doing is worthwhile? Like how do you decide that like what you're doing is a success?
I'll let you know when I get there.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. I don't know. I think yeah. The like points of like growth or whatever where it's like it's working. I think it's really more like how much new engagement that you get, and that ties into why I'm gonna move into focusing a little bit more on YouTube currently than stick with Twitch, because again, like I got my core community and y'all are fucking dope, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hitting new engagement. I'm not pulling in new people really. Where for YouTube, it's like, no, I can see how many like brand new fucking people are coming in because of this.
Yeah.
So to me, that's my like measurement of success, at least until we can hit like super monetization level. Then obviously that's your measurement for success, is how much money you're making per
Mm.
thing. Um, but yeah, until then it's like cool, like yeah, you can have all the views or whatever, but if it's just from the same people, or if someone is trying to pad your numbers by like just having that video on loop, it's empty calories. It's not
Yeah.
really substantial. It's and that's just kind of the shitty thing with, you know even in terms of like businesses and companies and stuff like that, where it's like doesn't matter if you made a profit last year. Now you have to top that this year, and
Yeah.
and the it just keeps going
Yeah.
until you crumble under your own weight, and that's it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard. I mean, I appreciate talking to you about this stuff because I feel like, I mean, it's probably the sibling energy of it, but also it's just who you are. Like, you're very no bullshit, and it's like, well, here's how it is. And so there is a world in which, people are like, oh, like I know it's a good stream if I feel happy afterward, or if I feel good about what I did or whatever. And I don't mean to like be dismissive of that because I think there is a lot of truth to that, but I think it's like naive and somewhat dishonest to dismiss how important the numbers actually are for the overwhelming majority of us, I would say.
Yes.
So I think that it's important to be like honest about like, no, the money does matter, and no, it does matter if people show up for my charity stream or not. Like that does impact
Yeah.
me.
Like we can all say it's about the creative process, and yeah, that's true. But there's also an end game to it.
I mean, it's about a lot of things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Swaggle says, my meaning of success is just having some buds chilling when y'all want to come by. I'd treat a subathon more like a community event, so just kind of have fun events. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, Swaggle.
Well, and that's what you typically do for like Abbers Palooza and stuff like that. That's kind of what I do for like the Nuck Fests as well. Of just like, nope, like this is like the theme of this year or whatever. Like
the party hats have become my favorite tradition, for the record. They're so funny.
Are you talking about? Oh shit.
Oh, there they are.
This is just the whole thing, but yeah, here
wow.
But yeah, you're talking about these guys. I still got the tiny cowboy hats.
Am. So
they're
silly.
sticking around. they're staying.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. If you have whatever like subjective goal for yourself and you're meeting it, sick. But yeah, it does a lot of those like superficial goals kind of go out the window when eventually you're able to make a dime off of it. And then suddenly it's like, oh, that's, we can say it's not priority, and it's like that's true, but also like what else are you going to try and measure it by?
Yeah. I mean, a musician I used to play with said, be educated but unaffected, which I really like, where it's like, okay, like I'm gonna be honest about the fact that I'm gonna look at my viewer count and see what that, I don't know if there's trends there or whatever. I'm gonna be honest about recognizing that like maybe I didn't advertise my like subathon enough, or maybe I need to structure it differently or whatever. But at the same time, like be kind to yourself and recognize that that's not necessarily a fair metric of like how good your content is. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing I think people need to like realize, is that like it's your viewer count is not a reflection of how good the content is that you're making.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that sometimes, but I really do think that's true.
Yep, it's a numbers game. Like and that's the thing too. You almost like a weird like infinite monkey theorem sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, if any of us just had the numbers, if you could take like 1 million fucking people and just be like, here it is, watch this, and it's like, okay, well, cool, yeah, you just need the chance for the people to like catch it, and you're gonna pull someone in. But yeah, again, the new engagement is the hardest part, and that's why I said that's the measurement of success for me. Because again, it's like, yeah, you could have like the one oil baron that's going to pay for you to like basically be your sugar daddy, and it's like, that's dope, but like that's not really the new growth or engagement. That's just the one dude that has a really weird relationship with me.
It's that end goal thing. It's like, if my end goal is to pay my bills, that's great, but if there's also an end goal of like creating art that I believe in, that doesn't necessarily support that, right? Like it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, it's hard, man. Yeah. It's fucking hard.
Yeah. I'm not gonna fucking play Raid Shadow Legends, but will I? Maybe. I don't know.
Perfect sentence.
Well, I mean, that's it's like, have your artistic integrity, but again, if I have fucking Streamlabs OBS or Stream Elements, email me and they're like, we'll give you $30,000 if you play Raid Shadow Legends, or like put this out in your video, I'm gonna be like, let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
As long as it
like
doesn't go directly against my ethics and morals, sure. Like,
yes,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
but like it's like, yeah, I can sell myself out and I can be a sellout, but that doesn't mean I'm a permanent sellout. I can just do this one thing, be a sellout, and then go back to like what makes me
Also,
me, you
ideally,
know?
you could do it in a way that is still you and subverts that expectation on some level
Yeah,
of being a sellout, quote unquote. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Twitch chat, thank you so much for your questions and for being here. Appreciate your insight and everything like that. Hold on, we're not done. Sorry.
I was just saying hi.
Oh, I thought you were saying goodbye. Siblings. Starknuckle. What is advice you would give your younger streamer or your younger editor self?
Oh man, honestly, just should have committed to it a little bit more.
Mm,
Because yeah, like I, it is weird knowing that like I did try it out when it was still like a brand new thing, like a relatively untapped market. And
yeah.
also that was when I was young enough that like I was still living with the parents, so I didn't have to worry about like I could have taken all of my time and like emotional energy and like resources and shit and pull it into that because I didn't have to worry about bills.
Sure.
You know, and so with that it would have just been like do that and also buy Bitcoin. Like just
Also
make sure
buy Bitcoin.
this is my advice to you. Yeah, it's
uh,
complicated. You'll find a way. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that would have been the key advice. Just been like, yeah, dude, just stick with it. Just keep trying
Mm,
it. Yeah.
totally. Do you have any goals or projects, things that you're working on?
Um, Currently, just because it ended up being the most popular video I've done, I'm working on uh part 2 of Dark Souls randomizer, the video. But I'm also working on other stuff in between that. Um, yeah, always trying to find good, weird, new, relatively new to me games that people may not have played before. So
Yeah.
yeah, again, something where like the game more plays me. It's just too fucking weird. One that I'm currently working on is John Woo's Stranglehold. It's a PS3 game. It's Max Payne mixed with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. There's
What a
you can shoot
combo.
watermelons and then you can like slide down a rail while just going in bullet time and just and it's like I'm working on that one right now. It's fucking so ridiculous, but
Nice.
yeah, in the
Hell
best
yeah.
way.
Well, if you're not following Starknuckle already, do it. Do it immediately on all the things. Not only on Twitch. I highly recommend following on YouTube as well. So go do the stuff, do the things, click on the thing. With that, Starknuckle, we'll wrap things up here with a 10 final questions questionnaire.
Oh, okay, James Lipton. All
Yeah,
right, let's do it.
inspired by James Lipton, Bernard Pivot, and CJ the X. Starknuckle,
Oh yeah, yeah. There we go.
are you prepared?
No.
Let's do it. Which game or activity do you love to stream the most?
Oh god, I mean, yeah, looking at the raw numbers, the Spine of Isaac,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, that's. I think you and I have made the joke where it's like you're sorry, I might be getting this twisted. You said that you are a WoW streamer that does variety. I'm a variety streamer that does Isaac.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely fell off that a little bit. But yeah, if I don't know what I'm doing that day and I want to stream, I'm playing Isaac.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Binding of Isaac
yeah.
is your World of
I
Warcraft
have
for me. Yeah.
35. Hold on, hang on. I have 3,439 hours in this game.
Don't
So
ask me about WoW. I don't want to talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah, it's one of those where it's like I'm please don't tell people the way that I live.
Yeah, exactly. Literally.
Don't let those floodgates open.
Yeah. Which game or activity do you hate to stream the most?
Uh um Honestly, like I think a lot of the like more culty ones, like I like the game and you and I tried it and I'm not inherently against it, but like Terraria and like the weird like the crafting games, because there's always going to be people that are like you're doing this wrong and blah, 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 and it's like it's an open world crafting survival game. I'm not doing anything wrong. Like let me just
Mm-hmm.
like live my fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, as far as those, I think it is like those types of games that usually I'd like to stream the least. I'd like to play them, but
Yeah.
stream the least just because you have weird, not even like, I mean, they're gatekeepy, but not in a good productive way. It's
Yeah.
really, it's them being it's them being like backseater, but not telling me how to be better. It's them just trying to brag about what they can do. And it's like, cool, all
Yeah.
right, like I don't fucking care.
For me,
Yeah,
that was Animal Crossing. I love Animal
yeah,
Crossing. It's not a game I play to min max. And so having people
right,
come in and tell me how to min max Animal Crossing is like, nah, fam, I just want to
yeah.
like
You
catch
got to use this
fish.
fucking app for the turnip market, and that's how you make your money. And it's like, all
No,
right,
no,
well,
no, no, no. It's too much.
yeah, goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, no, yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I mean, I guess humor is the one. It's the comedy. Like, especially, I can find some really weird shit funny. So, like,
Mm,
if someone is able to kind of like get on that wavelength, it's like dope. All right, you at least understand the weird fucking tangents that I will go on. Or you're going on the same type of tangents where I'm like, okay, I fuck with you. Like, let's do that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Like, not in like a sexual way, but like prudeness. I think people that are just kind of like cold. I'm just thinking of like Angela from The Office,
Mm,
where it's like where like not even trying to like yes and or just roll with it, where it's just like almost like talking to a brick wall, where it's like with any like even like trying to joke, it's just kind of just like no, and it's just like oh well, all right, cool, fuck you then. I guess I don't want that.
yeah.
Yeah, people who like yeah, like I understand there's like the idea of just a pity laugh or whatever. I'm not even talking about that, but people that are just like not even like a little bit opened up to anything.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Totally.
cool, you clearly don't want me to talk to you. Like, fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which streamer would you like to meet most in real life?
Ooh, in real life, I mean, I think Germa. It's gonna be Germa or Doug. Um, Mostly just because they both still seem to be the most like humble and most open to meeting people like in just in a weird like candid setting
Mm-hmm.
like Northernland would be cool, but also he is a dad with a young daughter. He's very like protective about his private life, so I feel like if I were to meet him in real life, he would feel a little bit weird and uncomfortable and like a little bit guarded, and I respect that. So I wouldn't want that to be the like the guy that I meet compared to Germa, where it's like yeah, his life kind of was on screen the whole time. That like he's very open to people meeting, like to meeting new people and just like randomly shooting the shit with random viewers and stuff at TwitchCon. Like, yeah, yeah. There's like good like humility to those two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something you would like to try on stream but you never have?
Like pseudo like cooking or baking stream, even though I don't really do either. One something that I've always wanted to do is just to somehow melt a bunch of starbursts and make a one giant starburst.
Okay.
Just melt them all together, get them in like a Pyrex, somehow get them hot enough, they all melt, reform, giant starburst. And for some reason, I'm like, this would be a great video, even though I have no fucking idea how I would do that.
Giant
Like,
Starburst stream.
giant starburst stream. Yeah,
That's the best answer for that
yeah,
question I've ever heard.
yeah. Trying to make the mega burst.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Swaggle's got it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What is something you would never want to do on stream?
Uh, I think just straight up like just the IRL, just chatting, like the people with with the selfie sticks and just kind of wandering around that way. It's I'm cool with those types of streams, but yeah, man, I mean, you pull some really weird Twitch chatters and also people who like if you're popular enough, people who will see you and just follow you. Also, you just have this like backpack with like batteries and shit, and it seems weird.
Yeah.
Like they're always in LA. It's hot as fuck. I don't want to do that. Like it just
Mm,
seems well, and also like a little bit like that's how you get people that will like in public will be a little bit like weird and aggressive towards you.
mm,
It's not very gonzo. It's not like you know, candid. It's not a candid camera. You have this huge fucking backpack with like wires, and you have a phone strapped to your wrist so you can read chat, and then you have another phone that you're holding shit out, and it's like, yeah, you look like a weird like cyborg. That's you're gonna have people that are they're gonna be like, don't fucking film me, or they're gonna be like, oh, you're filming, I'm going to do some weird shit to you, and it's like, nope, that's a venue I don't really want to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Starknuckle, why do you go live?
You know, just I'm gonna scream at the video games anyway. Might as well allow an audience. Yeah.
Follow-up question. Why do you really go live?
I want to not work. I don't want to have to do a fucking job anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, final question.
Mm-hmm.
You're on your deathbed. You know exactly how much time you have. You have any and all resources available to you. Viewer count doesn't matter. Commercial viability doesn't matter. None of that matters. What do you do for your final stream on Earth?
And if I'm on my deathbed, like I'm about to die.
Yeah, you're about to die.
Oh, I'm in a fucking. It's gonna be like up, but sad, more sad. Like where it's like I'm going to have like. So I'm imagining like a literal deathbed. Like I'm on like a bed.
Okay.
And instead of like balloons lifting me up into space, it's like a rocket.
This is a live stream of that.
But it's like it's like I'm already dying, but getting into outer space, I'll die through that. But yeah, it's just like the launch my body into outer space. It's what that is going to be.
Mega burst and the launch my body into space stream are my two favorite things that you've said today.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Oh, it's so good.
People would fucking love it.
Oh, they'd love it. They'd go nuts for it.
Yeah, it sucks because I would be dead, but I'd see people would be hitting me. I'd be mayor of Pog City.
Mayor of Pog City.
Everyone's throwing out the Pogs.
Everyone's poggering it up.
Yeah, chat's just nothing but that lizard.
Nothing but Pogs. Again, if you're not following my little brother, you absolutely should. I don't know what you're doing with your life if you're not. Thank you so much for being a guest.
I can
now you can wave.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off before I misinterpreted your wave.
Not good.
So normally what we do is I let you stream the stream. Wow. I let you raid the streamer of your choice. But
Yeah.
Starknuckle and I have talked about perhaps playing a game together now.
Yeah.
Are you still interested in doing that?
It would be brief. I've got maybe an hour and a half. That's cool.
Sure. What do you want to do?
Yeah. That works with you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to go live and I'll raid you?
Yes, I do have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
But,
I'll talk to the
here,
people.
Huh?
I'll talk to the people.
Talk with people. Yeah, and I'll just let you know.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Bye.